Let's go. All right. I think we are on.
Partha, are we alive?
Yes, I am.
Hold on, Satya. Wow. Repeat that again.
After you go live, the YouTube page will automatically pop up. You can close that and you will be still live.
Okay. Hold on. Can you see if you are able to see us on YouTube? Satya, are we on YouTube? Satya, are you able to see us on YouTube? Satya, are you able to see us on YouTube? Man. Assuming it is YouTube. I don't know if I'm doing anything right. Partha, are we on?
Yeah, we are on. Yes, we are. We are going live. We are live right now.
Okay, so I can hang up with Satya.
Yeah. All right. I think so. Viju and I are figuring out in the absence of Satya and Avi, the hosting logistics. But I think we're live. And this week has been a very, very, very busy week. We've got 18 matches to go through. So we will quickly get to the games. So Viju, I'm going to go through in the same order in which we have the match results.
That's right.
So we'll probably match up in that manner. So the first game I have is MCC Miles and Rising Stars. Is that what you have as well?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So this game I think was one of the rescheduled games which happened, and MCC Miles versus Rising Stars was always predicted to be MCC Miles taking over, and that's exactly what happened. Brahma essentially started with a bang here. He scored bulk of the runs. If you look at 53 runs, and the target once MCC Miles got to 142, I think it was game, set, and match for Rising Stars. Rising Stars this year has been performing much under par as to what they've been doing the last couple of years. I think Rising Stars had always kind of been a good team, just about here and there, causing an upset or two. But this year, I don't see them doing any harm to any of the teams. So I think Pool C, if you look at the Pool C points table, there has been a huge gap between the top four sides and the rest of the side. So it's getting to the point where Pool C is becoming more of a lopsided battle, and Pool B, in fact, is now hotting up. And coming back to this game again, didn't see my favorite Sanjay get many runs. I'm still waiting for him to get back, but I haven't seen him really perform with the bat. And with the ball, Rising Stars, I think, gave away too many extras, 20 extras in a score of 142. That itself, makes the target even look bigger. On the batting side, apart from Bhavin, who had double figure scores, there was not much contribution from there. So MCC Miles and a very predictable win, and Rising Stars, instead of rising, they keep going down. They're settling down the dust. So over to you, Viju.
Partha, because we are having, 18 games or something like that to cover, I think we are going to cut down on a lot of material. But on this game, I thought Brahma Naidu had a phenomenal game. Karthik Jaikumar is another good player who was having a great game until he got retired hurt. I'm not sure how serious that injury is, but I just hope that he is okay. But it's very rarely that you see a player getting retired hurt. Now, Praneeth had a great game with the ball. Now, Partha, I do not know if you recently saw the news, but in Alaska, in Juneau, Alaska, there was an eagle, a bald eagle, which found a deer head, and it took the deer head and it started flying off with the deer head. And as it was flying through, as it was flying with the deer head, what happened is the weight of the deer head was weighing the bald eagle down, and it crashed into a power line. And the next thing you know, Juneau, Alaska lost power for an hour. When they came and found out where the problem was, they found that the deer head was there, and a little bit away was the carcass of the bald eagle. So apparently the bald eagle got a little more than it could bite. You see, too much to handle. And I believe that is exactly what happened in this game. The Rising Stars tried to take a bite out of the Miles, and they just found that Brahma Naidu, Karthik, and Praneeth were too much to handle. The talent on Rising Stars has consistently been going down. There was a period where Icon's talent had gone down, and then Prashant changed the name, and then he brought in a number of new players, and the talent had gone up. But then starting this year, their best player was a guy named Ankit Patel, and he has moved to GLCC, you see. So GLCC managed to take Ankit Patel away from Rising Stars. It started in the indoor, where Ankit Patel went to GLCC and played indoor, but outdoor he was always playing for Rising Stars. I can understand it being a good fit for Ankit, wherein he's playing with other players who are equally talented, at least on GLCC. And for GLCC, they get a good player. But what happens is Rising Stars, their talent is further going down. And in this game, that's pretty much what they happen. It was Miles were too much to handle. They had too much more talent than Rising Stars. Again, the Rising Stars have been sinking. But what I like about Rising Stars is their attitude, especially Prashant's attitude. Never give up. He fights till the last ball. Last week, you said that he had a little bit of the striker DNA. But sure enough, he does fight. And for that reason, I have a lot of respect for him. But nevertheless, in this league, it's eat or be eaten. And so what happens is that's the law of the jungle, eat or be eaten. And what happens is that some of the teams have way too much more talent, and oftentimes when you go to the game, even though you might think that you had a great start, what happens is pretty soon it evaporates in no time. So this game was pretty much that. But a great game from the Miles. But once again, Sanjay is not clicking. Hopefully he'll click. But Brahma Naidu has clicked. This is the second game he's had a very good game. He's another game I saw him in the 30s or 40s. So this is the second game where he had a very good game. So they managed to get this done. Again, I think Ram Saladi, if he puts in a little more work, probably should be able to pull a couple more wins. But again, as you said, in Pool C, I think the difference between the top 4 teams and the remaining teams are probably a little more of a big divide. So probably you'll see the top 4 teams going into the playoffs. So the fight is really for the 5th spot.
Yep.
And that you'll have some 5-6 teams fighting it out. But when you look at Pool A, you'll find that, nobody is running away from the pack as such.
Yep, I absolutely agree. I think the 5th and the 6th spot, looking at the points table, does look really up for grabs. With MCC, Miles, Canton, 11, Rangers, all 3 of them having a fair shot. The next game we have is the AR Phantoms and the MI Rangers. Again, another Pool C battle, a battle I think pretty easy to predict, and we all predicted right. MI Rangers taking a toll of AR Phantoms. AR Phantoms, I think what I've heard a lot from a couple of times, one of our team players has umpired. They are a really nice lot. They basically never have raised any complaints, no arguments. They play with a very good spirit. So I want to call out them for having the right attitude playing, even though they have been thrashed many a times, giving away runs. In this case, I think at least they won the toss, which allowed them to kind of have that initial impact. I think they scored 88, and I think against the MI Rangers attack against Abhilash, I think
are you able to
was a good.
Parthu, are you able to pull up that scorecard on the screen, on your screen?
Yeah, I can. Let me,
because that probably will make it easier for the viewers who are watching, where they can follow what you're saying, basically.
Yep, I can definitely bring up. Yeah, so we're talking about AR Phantoms in the MI Rangers game. If you look at the scorecard, I think there were a couple of really decent contributions. 2 or 3 double digit contributions, which always helps. I keep telling my players, if every player scores 10 runs, we reach 100. So I think if that is something which AR Phantoms can take down in the rest of the games, kind of tell each player, you got to score 10 runs. I think they'll get to a decent spot. It's difficult to see them beat any side, uh, but at least they'll have that experience going into the next season. I mean, this was a easy win, even though MI Rangers they lost a few wickets. Then they should have, they lost five, but I think overall, I think it was a pretty straightforward walk, or in a canter. They basically were able to just walk through that. Again, you see both the teams conceding a lot of extras. This is something which is not good overall for the team. 21 and 14. If they want to compete, I think this is a problem which can easily be solved. You cannot really solve talent, you cannot really solve skill, but discipline, in terms of wides and no balls, that's something which I think the Phantoms captain and the Rangers captain, that's something which they need to look at and try to solve in the practice sessions.
Let me ask you a question, Partha. How much is a reasonable number of extras which you think should be considered? Because extras are bound to happen. So, what
Right.
is a reasonable number?
I think for a good team, I think anything in the 6 to 8 is, I would say, is a satisfactory day for bowlers. Giving, I think, if generally you have 5 to 6 bowlers, so you generally give them one or two leeways, a couple of wides. So I think probably 6 to 8 is what I would be very satisfied with. But I would live with anything in the 10 range as well. But anything that goes beyond that, once you give like 2 or 3 overs extra, then it starts to take a toll on the team, because the
So,
momentum, your head shoulders down.
yeah. So, for example, I think the Rangers gave only 14 extras, if I'm not mistaken. If you click on this thing,
Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
that's reasonable. It's 13 wides and one no ball. No ball is fine. One no ball, that's fair enough. One or two no balls per game, that kind of is reasonable. 13, yeah, I mean maybe slightly higher, but let's take a look at it as we go through the scorecard today to see how much extras people are giving, because I haven't really gone and looked at how much extras every team is giving, but we can see that in this game, 14 extras is the low point. And as we get to the
Hmm.
better teams, I think you are going to see that number come down a bit. But I'll be curious to see this week in 18 games, what is the lowest number. That will give us a rough idea as to what is an average. Because if everybody is
Yep.
giving the average, then it's kind of evens out. But yeah, in this game,
Right.
definitely, AR Phantoms gave a little more extra, and that's kind of understandable. New team, they are trying to figure out their bowlers and things like that, and some of their bowlers probably don't have the same amount of control. But in the interest of time, I'm going to pass on this game. But again, Rangers won this handily. All of us, everybody in the league knew that. And I think at this point, everybody in the league realizes that AR Phantoms is going to take the Emperor of the Basement award also. So they are in a tough pool, at least in terms of talent. The top four teams, I don't see them defeating any of them. And then it's a question of the other teams. But even that, Micah was their best chance, and they didn't take
Yep.
that. So
Yep. I think the next game, which was a pretty interesting game, I would have loved to see it if I was being a neutral spectator. High scoring game, went really to the wire. 20 SSK chased in 24.3. A really really awesome chase. I'm pretty sure that there's confidence is sky high after this. Dark horses, give it all. I feel like Dark Horses has been really playing according to the name. They haven't been putting up a fight, but this was something which was refreshing to see. They score 155 runs. I'm pretty sure Pankaj must have felt really good after the 25 over mark, that they had enough in the bank. Great contributions from Rahul, Pankaj himself, Abhijit. Rahul, again, want to call that, I think that's his second 50 of the season, and he's been carrying much of the batting load. Six sixes in that as well. And I think after that, I think SSK, really made a meticulous chase. If you look at it, even though after they lost a couple of wickets, they were 2 for 7. They lost a couple of wickets in, at the same score. But after that, Vikas, Yuvraj, and down the other Tejas were, I think, put their heads down. I think if you look at the scorecard, everybody had 100+ strike rate, which is the order of the day. When you're chasing a large total, you want to make sure that the pressure of the run rate doesn't get to you. And everybody basically, made sure that the scoreboard keeps ticking. And again, here, if you look at the extras, they are still in the double figures. 11 and 16. SSK Dark Horses did a good job of at least keeping the extras. But overall, I think this chase would be a huge booster for SSK, because that's one team I am definitely looking forward to going into the playoffs. I definitely feel SSK has reached that level, that one step, and is now ready to get into the big league.
Parthiv, since we are doing it for the first time, I just got a text from Avi saying that you need to share the screen with the match scorecard. Isn't that what you're doing? I mean, or is there something else to be done? I'm not sure. Since I'm technically incompetent, I'm just bringing it to your attention.
What was his comment? You need to what?
He said you need to share the screen with the match scorecard. Does this mean that it's only showing? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You seeing my screen, right?
I'm seeing your screen. Yeah, I am. So I'm not sure. Okay. All right. Maybe it was before you shared it.
Maybe
probably made the comment. I'm not sure. Maybe I saw the comment late. Coming back to this game, Parthiv, yes, Dark Horses put 155 on the board. And when I saw it, I said that's a very good total. But I'll be honest with you, Parthiv, I did not think they can defend the total. So if you had called me at 155 and said, is SSK going to be able to overhaul the target? My answer would have been yes. I think 65-35% chance that SSK overhauls the target. I think Watts, Rahul Bhandari, and Abhijit has been putting on a show with the bat. I think for Dark Horses, the only silver lining is the fact that, yes, we knew that Pankaj Watts is a very good batsman. We knew that every week, every year he produces runs. But Rahul Bhandari has been the person who has been really the person who has been shining in that lineup, because it's like almost like if Rahul Bhandari falls, then Dark Horses are pretty much done. They'll need otherwise a miracle from Pankaj Watts. But in this case, Abhijit also put on a show. There was a fine show of the batting, but it's where I have a real problem with Dark Horses is in their bowling department. Now, just last week, I had sung the praises of SSK bowlers of Kalyan and Priyesh, and I said they were extremely miserly. And this week, you saw the greatness of Rahul Bhandari and Pankaj Watts, that they took Priyesh to the cleaners. In 5 overs, he's conceded 49 runs. That's 10 runs and over. And this is from a guy who was giving only 2 to 2.5 runs and over. So really very impressive figures when you look at it from a Dark Horses side, the batting side, historically good. In fact, Dark Horses actually was such a good team that Glads have lost to Dark Horses. But this was when Mahesh Mutiala, Raghu Kurapati, and Pankaj Watts were in their prime, and their bowling was pretty decent. I wouldn't say great, but they're good enough to win a lot of games, you see. And but what has happened now, the present Dark Horses bowling cannot defend. And for that matter of fact, they cannot spell the word defend. If you ask them to spell the word defend, they do not know how to spell that word. And that is why I was saying that, them defending 155, 65% chance I would have given to SSK, because I really feel this is where the biggest problem has been for Dark Horses. So if you're Pankaj Watts and you're listening to this, where he has to attack is the fact that his bowling is not up to the mark. And until that bowling gets a little bit better or a lot better, they are not going to be able to pull off any victories. So I think that batting is okay. The 4 guys, if they click, they can still put 100 runs, 120 runs, probably, but they don't have the bowling to defend that. So that's the problem. So if you can't defend 155 against SSK, which is not necessarily known to have the greatest batting lineup in DCL, imagine what will be the problem when you go into a tougher team which has a better batting lineup. So something for what's to think about. But again, for SSK, I thought Vikas and Yuvraj came up big, but I thought it was a clinical overhaul by Lingappan and SSK group. It was a big target, but they took it down to the wire. Dark horses, the only consolation is they got the bonus point. But otherwise, a clinical finish. And like you, I'm expecting big things from SSK in challenging for that playoff spot. But because they are in Pool A and it's a dog-eat-dog world there,
Yep.
Anything is possible. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think I was comparing the charts, and if you look at it, I think there was one team in the SSK bowling and dark horses. Although dark horses had really some big overs, if you look at it, they had some 19 and 17 and 12. I think they had some really quiet overs as well. On the other side, SSK, I think they were consistent. They had 6, 7, 5, 8. That kind of a scoring rate. So when I was talking about that chasing and how clinical you need to be to make the scoreboard ticking so that the pressure doesn't build, I think they did that really well. And even though they required like 12 or 11 in the last over, I think they did a Dhoni. They basically just the first ball of that last over was a 6, which basically changes the equation, the pressure completely. I've heard from multiple commentators, if you want to take a chance, you take it on the first ball, and that's what exactly he did on the 25th over. He hammered that first ball for a 6, which completely gave the game away.
Parthiv, remember this dialogue. If you want to take a chance on that first ball. I will be bringing that same dialogue back up for a different game. So just
I know,
just keep in mind.
I know which.
Which one? Yes. Tell me which game.
It's the KRCC game, the Jasneet game, right? Isn't that?
No, actually, that one he did go for the 6 and he didn't get the 6. But that's a good point. But there is a different game where they didn't follow this thing, but they still pulled it off, and that is actually the game between the battle between the brothers, which was such an exciting game. I do want to get to that game, but just remind me if I forget,
Sure.
because I'm getting there up in age and I forget things.
Sure. Okay, the next game we have is the Bulls versus the Hitmen. Let me get to the scorecards. This was a game which was, I think this was played. Was this the one that was played in the evening? No, I think that was that was an Agni game. Okay.
Yeah,
so this was
yep.
Yeah, this was one of the rescheduled games, I think. And again, very, very close. Typical DCL game where the team scores 70 and then the team batting second comes awfully close. This was like really, really close. The last wicket essentially got Hitman over the line. And Detroit Bulls, we all know they have great talent in the form of Gino and Soju and Tanuj himself, but they have been falling short. They have been kind of losing games in a hurry. And I think part of it is because of their top order. They haven't clicked. If you look at their top order in pretty much all the games, they haven't clicked. It's always down the road, down the line that somebody, plays a contribution and they somehow get to a decent score. And Hitman has been surprising me. After the first game they played against Legends, where I think they got out to 20 odd. Everybody, had written off, and me as well. Like Hitman, these guys belong to my group, and I was making a list of how many games we should be, would be easy to win versus which games are going to be tough. Hitman was definitely on my list of we should be able to win this, and now I've been having doubts ever since I've seen Hitman beat a couple of the decent teams. So definitely, I'm not going to be taking it lightly. I'll be wanting to make sure I have the right team. I mean, if you look at the scorecards, they pretty much are like mirror images of each other, except for the fact that Arun Shankar, I think he basically made the chase and got them over the line. I think it was a really tight chase. And the last wicket again, probably Detroit Bulls weren't able to pull this. If you look at the scorecard, they had them 8 for 57. And from there, 20 runs, they should have fancied themselves to win this game. And that didn't happen. The last wicket or the second last wicket between Arun Shankar and Aditya, I think they got them really awfully close, and then the last wicket just held on to get the game. So even though Detroit Bulls do get a bonus point, but I think Hitman, they would have fancied getting all 5 points. So Hitman definitely got a steal here, got those 4 points, and it makes the pool be again more interesting every week.
Parthiv, I do not know if Hitmen are going to make the playoffs, but I have a lot of respect for them because of the way in which they have been playing. Now,
Yep.
on this show, we have been coming down hard on teams who have not been performing, but teams which have been performing, we have been really been impressed with them, and we have talked very highly of them. Now, coming into the show in the season, we knew nothing about Hitmen, and we were, I remember Ravi saying the Hitmen are the ones who are all the Hitmen are on the other team. The Hitmen are going to get hit, and I too agreed with that comment. You see, but in this game, I think in the Agni game was an eye opener. We didn't see that coming. This game was another game where all the analysts picked Detroit Bulls to win. Clearly, the Bulls had the better talent and everything, but I think what Hitmen have is a great leader in Arun Shankar. So let's give him credit.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Arun Shankar show. And if you really look at this game, Arun Shankar really put the Hitmen on his back and carried them to a win. And this was a win which no analyst saw coming. But if you ask me, he was the man. There was no doubt about it. It is an unbeaten 20. It was a chase. And when you score 20 runs in a chase and chasing a low target of 74, that is, you're roughly scored about 1/3 of the 33% of the score which is required, and if you would take up the wides and extras, it even bulges up to probably a 40 or a 45% of the score which he's putting up. So in Dawn, remember there was this dialogue, Dawn ko pakadna mushkil hi nahi, namumkin hai.
Namumkin hai. Yes.
Now here is the problem. This is the game which the Bulls are going to look back and regret losing. If they are going to miss the playoff by one game, this is the game they are going to look back and say, man, this is the game we should have had. And at this point, I do not know if Hitmen are going to make the playoffs, but they are playing the spoiler. And they are playing the spoiler to a perfect tee. They are coming and they have beaten FCC Agni. Basically, you have poured water on FCC Agni's chances. Now they have come and beaten Bulls, and now you have spoiled the Bulls' chances. So all the great things that the Bulls did, that Tanuj and Gino and everybody did after that Brownstown win, everything has just evaporated into thin air. If you look at the Hitman bowling, I should give kudos to that entire Hitman bowling attack. They did a masterful job limiting the Bulls to just 74 runs. And then, and then Arun Shankar came, and under pressure, he delivered. I mean, when it was required, he stayed and stayed and stayed. Made sure that he knew what was the target. He made sure he didn't get the bonus. But at this point, a win is the most critical thing which he could have done for his team. I think this was one game where he can look back and say that, I did my job as a skipper, both as a skipper leading the team, but also in action, because he really was the person who got this job done. According to me, this loss put the Bulls outside the bullpen. They are looking at the playoffs from outside the bullpen. And with each passing game, they are seeing their chances of making the playoff disappear. Honestly, if I am Tanuj, I'm calling a team meeting. I'm calling a team meeting especially of the senior players and any other player who can come to the meeting. We need to sit down. We need to talk. We need to come up with a plan, because if we do not put a full stop right now, we can kiss the season goodbye. Simple as that. So if you're Tanuj, you have to do what it takes. That's what leaders do. They call the team out and say, hey, this is unacceptable. We need to change course.
And I think one of the things which I had, mentioned even when we played the game is, underutilizing Soju. I think he is a really good all rounder, and in our game, I think he had come like 7 or 8, and I was surprised, like seeing him so down the order. In this game, at least he was 5, which is decent, but I would still want him. He's a game changer, and he, along with Gino, could have basically made even more interesting. And even in the bowling, I think he's underutilized. I feel like he should have bowled his quota of overs, which didn't happen. So that's something which I would see as a tactical thing which Tanuj might want to look at if he feels he has still a chance to make it to the playoffs. But Hitman, I was pointing out that they score, their results page. If you look at the barring the first week, which I think was a jolt, where when they got out to Legends for Poultry 25, they have been on the rise. They have been on fire. There have been a couple of close games, but they have been able to get through. But I think they definitely are going to be spoilers, as you mentioned. Going to make it interesting between Brownstown, Spartans, Kings 11, Strikers, Agni. Those are going to be really like who is next in their grasp of causing these upsets. All right. Let's move to the next game. The next game we have is Sterling Strikers and Canton 11. I know this game was I heard a lot in the captain group as well. This was like a game which was played in the right spirit. Both captains. It was refreshing to see both captains kind of congratulating each other, sending messages of game well played, complimenting the umpires. Even though it was like such a tough chase, I can just imagine how Canton 11 must have felt at the end of the game. But it's great to see like both captains enjoyed the game, even though it was tough. Because many a times when you have these tough games, there are contentious issues, umpiring decisions or something which is always brought up. It's never like, oh, you never compliment the opponent that you played well, you were better, and you just edged us through. So it was refreshing to see that. So I would like to call out both the captains for doing that. Again, Sterling Strikers, the man who stands for Sterling Strikers' chances to go to the playoff, Razali. He continues to perform. A big contribution from him, and down the order, like Syed Mujtaba, 5 sixes. That basically made the score swell in no time. If you look at the scorecard, after Raza Ali, there was a slide, and then suddenly towards the end, you have Syed Mujtaba going bang, 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 5 sixes in his 37, which kind of swelled the score to 126. And even though Canton 11, I would say, they bowled pretty well. Uh, they were expensive on the side because there were at least 4 or 5 of their bowlers were going at more than or close to 5 runs and over. And when you have all the bowlers doing that, you can see one bowler doing that or a couple of bowlers going 5 or 7 on over. But when you have pretty much everybody, then you see the scores kind of being in that 120, 130 range. And then on the other side, Canton 11, they pretty much had a slow start to when you're chasing a 120. If you look at their scorecard and the rate at which they were scoring, at 17 or 18 overs they were 170. They were 72. So they still needed 50 runs of the last 7 overs, and that's where the scorecard kind of speaks in itself. The last 3 blokes, they just came in, had full license to kind of hit, and they did that. They scored quickly, 12 and 17 of just 29 runs of 15 balls, the last 2 players. And I don't know whether these guys were new and there was a reason why they were sent behind. It was either one of the 2 cases, whether Javed probably didn't know their potential, or whether it was basically just keeping them behind. But both of them, man, they basically got the better of Raza Ali. I know Raza Ali bowled the last couple of overs, and that's why you see his figures suddenly swell. It's unusual to see him go 7 overs or 6.5 for an over, but I think Chandrajit and Mohammad Mukadas and Mohammad, I think they got into him.
Parthiv, spare me the on this game. I want to go a little longer than probably for any other game. And I just have to look at my notes because just because my memory is not the greatest of memories as it was once upon a time. But what a game, what a game. This game had us all drooling and salivating because this we all anticipated was going to be a doozy of a game, both on the field as well as off the field. We knew the history between these 2 games, these 2 teams, and there is a lot of internal squabbles which they have had, and they certainly wanted to play this game on a Saturday because both teams wanted to come out with the best team that they probably could. And I know Javed was very, very disappointed. He tried his best. I saw numerous emails which he sent to DCL groups requesting that the game be allowed to be played at a mutual time, which is convenient and things like that. But coming back to this game, I thought the Sterling strikers put on a show. And Raza Ali and Syed Mujtaba, as you rightly said. And if I am not mistaken, Parthiv, Syed Mujtaba is, I think, Raza's brother. I think his name is Mujtaba Haider or something like that, but I could be wrong. But I think it is his brother, and they both go as a package wherever Raza goes. Haider also follows. I'm assuming this Syed Mujtaba is his brother. But I have seen him indoor. This is Raza's brother I'm talking about. I've seen him indoor a long time ago, and he's a very good player, actually. So when I see that big score from him, I'm not at all surprised. And that is why I'm leaning more towards that this is probably his brother who's playing here. And again, if you look at it, the opener was a guy named Iftikhar Hussain. He has played for a number of teams like Arsenal and things like that. He's another huge hitter. They brought him specially for this game. And so both teams spared no effort to go out and win this game, you see. Now, coming to the Canton 11 bowlers, they were led by Mohammad Ramzi, Javed, and Junaid. I mean, they fought hard. They did not give an inch. But I think considering the firepower which was there, I think 127 was with this ball was a decent score. It is a defendable score. And chasing 127, if you ask me, is tough for any team. But this was a never. What I liked about Javed when he came on the show was that do or die attitude. He was never willing to give up. I saw how prepared he was. He came to the show to introduce his team. We gave a team spotlight, and I saw the way in which he had prepared and how his teammates were all backing him, and how one of his teammates, I think it was Hari, if I'm not mistaken, who had even prepared a document for him, and then he came and read through the whole thing. I thought that was one of the most prepared interviews a person coming on the show is coming prepared, you know, in the sense that I want to give the best possible thing. And usually that is an indication of a person, a well-prepared person in one walk of life will also be well-prepared in other walks of life. I always look at it as they are not compartmentalized, you know, it carries through kind of a thing. And so I was watching the score nonstop. And initially when others fell cheap for 4 runs, I felt that that was a dagger in the heart of Canton 11, because he's a class player. He's a very good player, very good batsman. And when he felt cheap, I honestly felt that Canton 11 was already on the back foot. So they needed something to happen. And then it was not really happening, you see, because they were always behind on the run rate. And this was going on, and I was watching this nonstop. And I thought that that mountain became a mega mountain the moment others felt. But then, if you look at it, Mohammad Muqaddas was a man possessed. The previous game, it was not this game, but there was one game before this, we had come and smacked about 32 or 35 runs in no time. And in this game, I felt that he came way too low down in the order. I would have preferred to have, if I was the skipper, I would not have left Mohammad Muqaddas that much down. Knowing that the run rate was creeping up, I probably would have pushed him probably 1 spot up, or maybe even 2 spots up, because I need to take that scoreboard pressure away. But we can't find fault when your team has won. When your team has won, you have to give all the credit to the skipper and say, hey, whatever works, works, you know. So that's a great thing. But Hari Pallava here, I think, played a gem of an innings in the middle. So that was just what the doctor had ordered, and he set it up for the listing. So let me set up the climax scene. As I said, the man of the week for this week, if you ask me, who is the man of the week for the entire, all of DCL, is a guy named Mohammad Ramzi. All right. Mohammad Ramzi, first of all, produced with the ball. So he had a spectacular game with the ball. But then he needed 10 runs to win with 3 balls remaining. That's where the setup is. All right. Now, remember, you had said that you'll normally take your chances on the very first ball. But if you go back and look at this thing, you will find that here is the scenario. If you look at Sterling strikers, they had the best possible scenario, 10 runs in 3 balls. I mean, I don't care. Even if you are an international cricketer, that's not an easy thing to do. You get my point? And especially when the pressure is on. It's easy to do probably at the beginning of a game. If you say 10 runs and 3 balls, go. But when the pressure is on and you've probably lost 8 wickets or 9 wickets, and you're coming down to the last but one situation, it is never an easy chance. And from Sterling strikers, the ball was in the hands of their best bowler and their superstar, Raza Ali. Who else would you want bowling that that over? You get my point? And so Parthiv, Raza Ali, remember, once again, he had dumped Canton 11 and moved back to FHCC, or Sterling strikers as they are called right now. And remember, last time when Javed came, he told us that he told Raza, man, if you want to go to GLCC or GLADS, I can accept it, but please don't go back to FHCC. You remember he told that. He was very, very honest and very straightforward. He had that conversation. And I thought it was refreshing to hear him speak openly as to what exactly happened. So you knew that there were so many dramas within dramas playing out. You know, you have Raza Ali. I mean, look at the climax coming to bowl. And here is the man who has left your team and gone to the other team. Your team is in a real bad spot because, you know, you need 10 runs in 3 balls. And the man who is bowling is Raza Ali, who's also the league leader in wickets taken and generally is a pretty decent bowler. And the chances are not looking very good. I at that point, if I'm a betting man, I would probably say 99% of my winnings should be in the Sterling strikers camp, you know. That's the team which is going to win. And here was Raza Ali standing like Darth Vader between Canton 11 and victory. And Parthiv, I wish we could have got a time machine. I wish we could go back in that time machine to this game. And if I went back, I want to check Parthiv Javed's pulse. Because let me set up the scenario. I would like to go and check his pulse. I would like to see his facial reaction. I would like to see what his reaction is as the balls are unfolding. I specifically want to go at the end of the 24th over and the beginning of the 25th over. Last over of the match, Parthiv. Let us set it up. 12 runs needed in 6 balls, all right? The first 3 balls, the great Raza Ali comes and just gives a miserly 2 runs. 24.1, he gives 2 runs. And that 2 runs is scored by Mohammad Ramzi. And Javed, if I am, if I can just take Javed and if I can just expand upon that situation and dramatize the situation, Javed is probably saying, man, where is the restroom? I need to use the restroom. I cannot take this tension anymore. I need 12 runs and this guy has got me 2 runs. Well, if Javed thought 2 runs was not good enough, and he probably should have gone for a 6, like you were saying that, you know, everybody will normally try to go for a 6 or a 4 on the very first ball. Well, Ramzi did not do that. He only got 2 runs. Well, it gets even better. 24.2, the great Raza Ali delivers a dot ball. You remember the Sholay dialogue, you know, remember Gabbar Singh is there and he says, Kitne aadmi the? And then that guy says, you know, Sardar, do aadmi. Do aadmi, Sarkar. Mohammad Muqaddas or Mohammad Ramzi khel rahe hain. They are at the middle of the crease. 2 ball. 2 ball or 2 run. 3 ball में 2 run चाहिए ले लिए है. 2 ball dot ball दे दिया है. साले रामसी खेल रहा है या balls खा रहा है? This is exactly what our friend Javed would have said. Man, this fellow is eating balls. He's not playing the game. So let me say 24.3 dot ball. Wow. Now Javed is close to having a heart attack. Parthiv, he's close to having a heart attack. And Ramzi, तू क्या कर रहा है Ramzi? ये मेरे को जीते जी मार दे रहा है. मोहम्मद, अरे भाई तू 1 रन ले ले और मोहम्मद मुकद्दस को स्ट्राइक दे भाई. सांबा AK-47 लेके आ, मैं यहीं से उसको मार दूंगा. That is exactly how Javed felt after the 3rd dot ball happened. All right. The 4th dot ball, and the 4th ball comes up. Ramzi Ahmed comes to, and so here is again Raza Ali is bowling to Mohammad Ramzi. Once again 2 runs, and I am sure Javed is saying, no, 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 no 2 runs. I don't want 2 runs. 2 runs will not do it. Somebody please hire Deepika Padukone and ask her to cheer from the boundary, because maybe Ramsey will at least hear her screaming from the boundary line and something can still happen, because whatever I am saying, nothing is happening. That does the trick, Parthiv. That does the trick. The moment Deepika Padukone's name comes and the imaginary Deepika Padukone shows up at the boundary, guess what? Raza Ali bowls to Mohammad Ramsey. Mohammad Ramsey comes alive. He is a man woken up from the grave. And the fifth ball has gone for the maximum, Parthiv. It is a 6. I saw the 6 and I said, wow, what a game. And now I'm hitting refresh. I can't even wait. I can't even wait 5 seconds. Refresh. And I am hoping whoever is doing the scoring, sometimes, in the euphoria, they forget to enter anything. I hope that the guy enters whatever it is, out or not out or whatever it is, just record it, because 2 runs of the last ball, you still give the chance to the bowler and say that, you know what? They will at least maybe give a run or at least a dot ball. It's still not an easy task. And sure enough, the last ball, 1 ball, 2 runs required. Equation is plain and simple. Raza Ali to Mohammad Ramsey, and boom, 2 runs. And the next thing you know, Javed Ahmed, who does not know Balle Balle, is doing Balle Balle. Parthiv is doing Balle Balle. And he is shouting only one thing. The man who wanted to shoot Mohammad Ramsey with an AK-47 is now saying, East or West, Mohammad Ramsey is the best. East or West, Mohammad Ramsey is the best. Mohammad Ramsey is the greatest of all time. And if you ask me, the man of the week is Mohammad Ramsey and nobody else. The man of the week in DCL week 8 is Mohammad Ramsey. I have not met Mohammad Ramsey, but what a game, boys. I would love to meet this guy, but it was a fantastic game. I think what impressed me, as you said, after the game, both skippers acknowledged what a great game it was. It was really fun to see Ehsan congratulating Canton 11 and Canton 11. And I thought the umpires, let's spare a thought for them. I think it was Maulik and somebody else. I forgot his name. But whoever it was did a fantastic job in the game, calling the game. I know Maulik was there because I remember his name. But the other person, I forgot his name.
Yeah, actually got a text from I got a text from Maulik. He says Sterling Strikers were playing with 8 players for the last part of the innings. So that is an interesting twist, which I think we wouldn't have known from the scorecard. But I had a couple of questions, Viju, on this. One was, would you have, now last over, you basically mentioned, the chronology of the balls. Would you have taken the second run of the 4th ball? Mohammad Ramsey and Mohammad Muqaddas, both of them.
Yes.
If you look at Mohammad Muqaddas, he has 12 runs of 4 balls at a 300% strike rate. All right.
Yes.
Now you are on one end, you've eaten 2 dot balls.
Yes.
And on the other side, you have someone who's playing at a 300% strike rate.
Yes.
At that point of time, I want to really know what would have gone in, especially Mohammad Muqaddas's head, as to whether he has a better chance of hitting these 10 runs. So that would have been an interesting 2 runs. I'm still not convinced. I mean, in that situation, if I was there, I would have taken that second run. I would have basically, if I've eaten 2 dot balls, I would have basically fancied the other person who's playing at the 300% strike rate to, go for the kill.
Parthiv, let me tell you something. If I am the Canton 11 skipper, I would have walked out into the middle and I would have told Mohammad Ramsey, by somehow take a single. All right. That is me. All right. The percentages are in favor of Mohammad Muqaddas. He is acknowledged as one of the most fearsome hitters DCL has seen. I'm not saying that based on this season. I'm talking about 3-4 seasons ago. He was one of the league leaders in the batting scorecard. Maybe it is 6 seasons ago. Okay. He was having a phenomenal season. All-star game. We were going to play an all-star game, DCL all-star game. And he was one of the DCL all-stars who was supposed to play that game. Unfortunately, that game never took place. But he was in the DCL all-star lineup. He was that kind of a player. So if he's anywhere close to that potential, I'm looking at my chances and saying, considering that last game, He hit it at a 200 or 250 strike rate. I mean, he was literally whacking the ball out of the ground. And you haven't seen Mohammad Ramzi score, you'd probably say, you know what, take only a single and leave the ball to Mohammad Muqaddas and let's hope for the best. That's what, as a skipper, I would have done. Now, let us give credit to Mohammad Muqaddas. He is not looking at this and saying that, okay, I am the better hitter here, and so let us only take a single. I think, again, if I am Mohammad Muqaddas, that thought would definitely cross my mind. I'm not sure how many of us will go for the second run. There are so many times you have seen Virat Kohli turn down a second run. There are so many times where the other batsman doesn't have the confidence that the other batsman can get it done and will intentionally turn down a run. You get my point? So what you brought up was an extremely valid point, but it worked out in the end, and it was phenomenal. So who are we to question? All we can say is Mohammad Ramzi had a phenomenal game. Give him all the credit. He deserves to be the man of the week. Fantastic game. Fantastic win for Canton 11. Fantastic game from Sterling strikers. I mean, it was not like they got whipped or something. It is the closest of margins by which they lost. And if I am Ehsan, I would say, you know what? My superstar was the guy bowling, and if I lose based with 12 runs to defend and he was not able to, he gave up 12 runs. Okay, I have to live with that. You know, there are sometimes you have to live with that.
And then the other question I have is, I know like a lot of commentators and a lot of experts and pundits talk about that your 19th over, I mean, in this case, the 24th over should always be bowled by your best bowler. So would that be something which you think would have changed the outcome of the game if Raza Ali had bowled the 24th and not the 25th? Would that have, considering the fact that they were 8 down? Okay, so a wicket here or wicket there would have made the last over very, very tough. That is something which also has come to my mind as to whether that would have made an impact.
Again, here is the question. 23rd over was also bowled by Raza Ali, but that also went for 11 runs. So really speaking, whether it was the 23rd over or the 24th over, the difference might not have been a whole lot different. Again, the problem with this is the skipper has to calculate well in advance, when do I want my bowlers and which bowler should be bowling the 22nd over and the 24th over, you see? And my feeling is, it is the 23rd, 24th, and 25th over where almost 35 runs came off. You get my point?
Right. And I think
I don't think Ehsan ever imagined 35 runs will be scored in 3 overs. I don't think any of us would have imagined.
And I think part of it is because, as Maulik has pointed out, they were fielding with 8 players. So you see a lot of doubles being taken in the last 3 or 4 or 5 overs. Is because they were fielding with 8 players, so you can imagine there were a lot of gaps. And I think what is also interesting, which has come to light, is that Javed essentially knew that these 3 or 4 players which the Sterling strikers had, they have a hard ball game. So he purposefully, if you look at and very tactically, I mean, if I was the captain, I would have done the same thing. So it's not saying that it's unfair, but he cleverly won the toss and elected to. Sterling strikers won the toss and elected to bat. So that's something interesting, that they would bat knowing that the 3 players are about to, they need to go. So I think that is I feel it's a tactical blunder from Ehsan. If, again, he must have thought that they had enough runs in the bank.
Parthiv, I fully agree with you. If I know that 3 of my players are going to leave early, I most likely want to, bat second, because I have those guys bat and then leave. You get my point? But again, there's a lot of premium placed in our league. I'm not so sure if it is right or wrong, but there is this. If you look at Brownstown swears by it. If they win the toss, they are batting first, no matter what. And every time they win the toss, they bat first. And I think there are a number of teams which subscribe to that theory. I don't see you won't see Indus subscribing to the theory. You see Gopu always mixing it up. When I was the skipper, I also used to mix it up. Nobody could exactly predict what I was going to do. Again, sometimes I varied it depending upon my circumstances. If I knew that some of my fielders were leaving early, unless I felt I had a very strong team, I wouldn't want to field with 8 players. If it is a close game, let's say I'm playing GLCC, I probably do not want to risk that. You see, I probably want this thing. But if let's say I'm playing AR Phantoms, then I would say I'll still bat first, knowing that even
Yes.
though there is only 8
So I
fielders.
think it feels like Maulik says that this scorecard is reflecting the wrong toss result. He was there, and he's pretty sure that Javed won the toss and Canton 11 elected to field.
Then then we have to say even more credit to Javed Ahmed. He
Right.
is a master. He is a master. He is the king. He is the king of strategy. So let's give him credit for that. I mean, I like everything which Javed has been doing with his team. And I think if he won the toss and he elected to bowl, it was the right decision. If he knew, especially if he knew that Sterling strikers are going to be shortchanged.
Right.
And there is nothing wrong with taking advantage of
absolutely.
it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're well within your right.
Right. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yes, interesting to know these kind of anecdotes, which I think only someone who is in the game knows.
Yeah, and thank you, Maulik, for sharing it, because none of DCL knew it, but now everybody knows it. But again, if Maulik hadn't shared it, we probably wouldn't know it. And I'm not sure why this happens on the scorecard. Very often I see that the toss result seems to show a wrong result. You get my point?
I think the reason is there are a lot of teams still figuring out these cricket clubs. I myself have used the app. It's difficult. Like once you've selected something, it's convoluted to kind of go back and edit. I mean, the editing part, or trying to recover from an error, is slightly difficult. So if you do it the right way, if you follow the happy path, it works fine. But if you make an error, like let's say you want to change the ball, it was a dot ball, but you error, you put a 1 run, that the time it takes, or the steps it takes to change it, it's pretty it's convoluted. So I think that's why sometimes these teams.
No, I have seen numerous scorecard where the wrong result shows up, where I see somebody, it says they won the toss and they elected to bowl, when in fact they are elected to bat or something like that, and I never understood why that is. But I do think that there is a problem, because it seems to happen to numerous teams. But there are some teams where, like Pokeries, where Ravi Narala always seems to get it right. So some guys have figured it out. I guess those are the smart guys, or computer smart guys. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the IT guys, I think, figure it out very easily. All right, let's move on to the next game. The next game was between Blasters and Kings 11. This was a game which I think the Blasters came off a very, very. I mean, they basically played back to back. This was their second game in the same week. They played KRCC, not KRCC. I'm sorry.
Legends.
Yes, they came off a very close loss to Legends, and I think that must have been hard to swallow. But coming back the next day and kind of delivering is definitely makes them a very, very confident team. I feel like that's what champions team do is like they recover, and they recover really fast, and that's what exactly Blasters did. It's interesting to see Hari push himself to open the batting. That is very interesting. I don't know whether he's put himself into that role of not losing a lot of wickets, especially knowing what happened the previous day and Saturday, where I think they lost the first 3 or 4 wickets in a real hurry, and then they had to kind of recover. So I think he must have put himself to kind of block, but that didn't work. It was only down the order, Shan, and we all know how dangerous he is. If he gets going, he is capable of hitting some really big ones, and this is exactly what he did. He got support from Ravi Teja and Deepak in the initial part, but I think he basically handed like most of the strike, and was able to kind of get the scorecard to a point where I think Blasters must have felt they had it in there, knowing their bowling strength, which they had. I think Mahesh Mutiala, I think I've seen him open the batting for most of the Blasters games so far. He's been pushed down. I think primarily because I think he's definitely showing lack of touch. But I think that putting him down the order is not going to really help his confidence. I definitely feel he's just 1 inning away from getting back into the runs. So I would love to see him come up or at least near up the order. And Kings 11 is a very, very dangerous side. I have played against them. They have a couple of really good hitters. Nikhil is one of them, and he got out cheaply, really cheaply. But I've heard Vijay Khammam's talk about this guy. I think he had come in the other radio show, and he said that they rate Nikhil as more of a finisher, which I don't know if I would agree with that fact. He's much more capable than just finishing the game. I think I would want him. He's such a good clean hitter. He can change the equation of the game really fast, and I would want him to come somewhere in the middle order where he can take the control of this game, especially when you're chasing this 120, 130 odd. Like lower down the order, I know he has the license to go for it, but I think it's a risk. It's basically if he gets out, you fell well short of what what you were aiming at. So I think this is something which is tactically something which Kings 11 must think about, whether what position does Nikhil become more impactful. Yes, he's a finisher, but when do you want to get him laid down the order, or do you want him to control the middle order and get the game more towards the winning position rather than he's done that with us. He came in the last 5 overs and he belted us, but I don't know whether that's something which he can do over and over every game. So go ahead, Biju.
So Partha, here is my question on Nikhil. He produced in that game against Strikers, but after that, I haven't seen anything really phenomenal from him. So now, for me, a person becomes a great player when you can routinely bring out that performance, not necessarily every game, but at least with a fair degree of consistency. That's what separates the great players, whether it is Virat Kohli or Virendra Sehwag or Tendulkar.
No, you would see when we come to the Blasters Legends game, he was the impact player. So he definitely
Blasters Legends.
Legends.
Yeah. So where is Nikhil Kumar?
I'm sorry, not Blasters Legends. I'm sorry, I'm getting KRCC Kings 11, the one which got really close. I think he got a bunch of like 5 wickets or 4 wickets. He's an all-rounder, so he bowls as well as bats.
I was talking from the batting side. I'm talking from the batting angle. I mean, I saw the big innings against Strikers, but I haven't seen that big innings with the bat against any other team. And now I am a guy who's very difficult to please. So my thought on that would be, well, is this a one-off this thing, or is it like is this going to be more of a routine where we can expect with a say 60% consistency that you're going to out of 100 games, 60 games he's going to connect and make a difference? But if you have played about 4 or 5 games and if you had only 1 game with the bat, then I start wondering, is that a one-off this thing? But having said that, yes, it was a great innings against Strikers. We can't take anything away from him. But I would like to see a little more consistency. But coming back to this game, you brought up the question of Hari Parankusam. Do you think that Blasters have a batting problem? Because I've been seeing that, whether it was this game or the game against the Legends, they have been losing consistently wickets. Now, against the Legends too, Hari Parankusam went opening or 1 down, if I'm not mistaken. But I saw that game live, and I was very impressed with the way Hari was batting. He's a very straight bat. It's one of the things which he does is you don't lose a lot of wickets when Hari Parankusam is batting on one end. He's holding one end up. They have a top-notch bowling attack. If you really look at the Blaster bowling, it's a top-notch bowling attack. They don't need 150 runs on the board. If they can get to about 90 runs, they can probably win most of the games. But if you are probably a top-notch team, then you probably need maybe 100 to 110, but they can easily defend 100 to 110 against almost everybody. Because you look at that bowling attack, you'll find that they have some really very good bowlers. And I saw the bowling. I thought the bowling was top-notch, but I think it is on the batting end where I have some serious concerns about the Blaster batting. Now, they have the name recognition, Zishan Gori. I mean, he was a phenomenal player for Blazers. You get my point? Hariharan Muralidharan, or rather one of that Hari anyway, the other Hari, all right? He came from Blazers. He had a great game against Legends. He didn't play this game, but he
Mhm.
has always been a very good player for Blazers. So he's another very good batsman. Now, this is the first time I'm seeing Shan perform in a long, long time. Now, this guy used to be a phenomenal batsman long time ago, but somehow his performances had fallen off the chart. He was kind of a forgotten man in the Pokris lineup after not so great productions in the last 3-4 years. But this game was a phenomenal production. It was like he turned back that hands of the clock, and it was the old Shan of old. And this is the strike rate at which he goes. When he gets going, it's
Yep.
very difficult to stop him. He has some very good shots, and 62 or 47, he really did a phenomenal job. And again, if you take that 62 out of the equation, and let's say he got out for 1 or 2, Parthav, what would
Mhm.
the blaster batting look like? This is where I have concerns, wherein one person's phenomenal performance kind of masks a lot of other problems which they seem to be having. Somehow I'm not very convinced. I do think that the potential is there, but I have not seen something where I'm very confident I can say that, yep, this batting is going to come and perform. But this is something
Yeah.
which they probably want to look at. But having said that, it was a fabulous, fabulous outing from Shan. Let's give him credit for that performance. That 62 alone kind of destroyed Kings 11. But because of a lack of time, I shall pass upon further
Yep.
this thing because we have so many games to cover. But let's give
Yep.
a shout out to Shan for an excellent game. And congrats to Hari for winning this game. It was a must win game, especially after losing a tough one to Legends.
Yeah, I think one last analysis which I think Blasters has is, Blasters is a new team, so I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get settled middle order, settled batting order in general. And I still see Imti not even batting. I know he bats, he's good, and I don't see him batting yet. He's primarily in both these games used as a bowler. So I think they're still trying to figure out the right batting order.
Yeah, I think Parthu, this is the problem when you have mergers. It
Right.
takes some time. It takes some time. This is why when Bridges joined us, I was very confident of integrating them in because I had played numerous tournaments with those guys. And so I knew exactly how they fitted with us, and I didn't have to go around doing any massaging of any egos or any of those things. I just had to focus on the game, and those guys were mature enough that I tell them this is what the role, this is what you're going to get done, and we knew what they brought to the table, and we knew where each of the pieces fit in. But when you have a multiple conglomeration, which is of mergers of multiple teams, you always will go through some processing time before you can figure that out. But I think Haripankosam is a smart guy, so he'll figure it out.
I hope he doesn't figure it out in the next game, but yeah, soon enough. All right, next game is the FCC Thunders game. Again, I think we'll probably be repeating our narrative about FCC, about their batting failure. Again, the team hasn't risen itself. We had Tejas the other day talk about how well they have been gelling, how they have been basically working with the Falcons team. I mean, the gelling is working, but the batting is not yet. And Tejas himself has been failing more than he should be, considering that he holds kind of the backbone of FCC batting. Vijay Matta, our age-old Vijay Matta, he good to see him back. But unfortunately, he got out on the first ball, golden duck for him. And somehow, even though I see a lot of experience in the FCC batting lineup, I still don't see them put it through and use that towards building totals. I think either it is somewhere where there's lack of confidence, or there's lack of, or just bad luck, sheer bad luck that they've been, getting out cheaply. But Venkat Vadanala has been doing his job. He's been winning tosses and giving FCC the first bite of the cherry to kind of put the total and then kind of defend. FCC has a pretty decent bowling lineup, and I think over the games they've been bowling well, but it's difficult to defend 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so this game again, they Indus Thunders, they've lost 2 games, so they were also very hungry. So if you look at it, they were back in their full colors. Dinesh Pendetti, Manoj Singh, Praveen Bangera, Sandeep. That's basically that lineup. I would say apart from Jalaj, I see this is pretty much their bowling lineup for coming playoffs. So everyone, pretty much everyone, this is like near enough the Thunder's lineup that we should be expecting to see come playoffs. You have Madhusudan in the batting, even though like I think the batting is still lopsided. You have Manoj Singh coming in at 7, which doesn't make sense. He generally opens or is one down. But I still see this is like the lineup which I would expect to see or close to expect to see come playoffs. So I think Thunders. I think Sandeep realized that it's time, and then this Sunday game, helped us to get them. They got the people who generally play the 40 over league, so they was able to get these players back and get them in the nick of time before the Thunders gets into losing another game. So I do feel FCC had a chance to put score on board and challenge Thunders, but unfortunately, 62 is too less to even break a sweat out of Sandeep Gopu's head.
Yeah, well said, Parthiv. You pretty much covered everything which I wanted to say. I honestly feel that if Tejas came on the show and he said he wants to hear everything is good and great, and I told him on that day straight on his face that everybody is not great and everybody is not good. And if everybody is great, then who's bad? Now, Parthiv, if you want to say FCC batting is great, be my guest. Please go ahead. And if you truly believe scoring 62 against Indus and 72 against Hawks is great, please be my guest and go ahead and say that. But I'll never say that. I shall pass on it because you and I rightly said this last week when we predicted against FCC when they went against Hawks. We predicted Hawks to win, and there was a reason we predicted Hawks to win. And the reason was simple. The FCC batting has shown us squat. All right, scoring one game over 100 against Thunderbolts doesn't count really in the big scheme of things. What have you put against Hawks? What have you put against Indus Thunders? When the bowling gets better, somehow the batting is not able to contribute. And I remember I did give you that, what is that quote from Norman Vincent Peale, that the trouble with most of us is that we rather be ruined by praise rather than be saved by criticism. That, Parthiv, take that statement and you can take it and paste it on a wall and read it every single day, because this is the problem with most people. They want to hear good, 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 good. Why don't you face up to the fact and face the facts? And the day you face the facts, that is the day you're going to become better. And until FCC is willing to do that, I don't see that happening. Yes, you and I agree on one thing. The FCC bowling is good. Yes, Venkat Vadnala has been spearheading that bowling. Yeah, Venkat Vadnala is a bowler and he has been doing his job and he has been able to handle the bowling department well. But the batting department has produced squat. And if their answer was Vijay Matta, who's going to come and play for them, this is again separate news from somebody else who came and told me, Viju, if you're saying Rehan Bukhari is bloated up, this is triple the size of Rehan Bukhari. I do not know. I have not seen Vijay. I have not seen Vijay Matta, but that is the feedback which I got. All right. And now whoever said this to me, I do not know if he was exaggerating, but I don't think he would have made that statement without some factual basis to it, you see.
Right.
And so my point here is that, I think the batting is a colossal failure. They need to stop believing a lie. They need to face up to the facts. They need to look themselves right in the eye. And they have a leader who is capable of telling them straight facts. Whether they like it, whether they like to hear it or not, that's a different issue. But somebody needs to tell them, hey, you guys are not as good as you think you are. You guys need to get the job done. First, get the job done before claiming yourself to be great or good. Right now, you are not in that category at all. But your bowling, yes, that is what is keeping you in. Otherwise, your record would be even more lopsided. Take the Thunderbolts game out of the equation. That is a one game and it's a new team. So, so let's put things in the proper perspective. But yeah, I think FCC has to improve on the batting end. But I don't have concerns on their bowling end. But I think their bowling is pretty good. Their leadership, I don't have any problems. I think Vadnala is as good as it gets. But Yeah, but Nala can't save them from batting, right? If there is a batting
Yep.
failure.
The next game we have is pretty interesting, considering like it was something which we all kind of had a 6-0 prediction for Sterling Striker versus Micah. And Micah, we all know, has been you know kind of the lord of the basement. But in this game, I mean, it was a 20-over game, considering that the due to wet ground or overnight rain, so it was a shortened game. But I know like Sterling Strikers won this game, but I would give credit to Micah for coming so close. Consider I wouldn't have given them a chance of coming even near the 14 runs which or 13 runs which they came to. I would have basically thought of them like 50 or 40. They would have rolled. But I think they were able to get some of their good players. Naveen Kumar. I see a couple of like Dinesh is another one which I see come through. So they were able to get a lot of their players, considering that they haven't been able to do that on a consistent basis. I guess because of the Sunday. Was this a Saturday or a Sunday game? Oh, I think this was a Saturday game. Considering that it was Saturday, they were still able to get some of their players to come and play for them. But I think overall, I feel like Sterling Strikers deserve to win this. Even though Raza Ali didn't perform, didn't contribute, they were still able to get through a respectable total of 98, thanks to Ihsan himself, playing a captain's inning, and Ali Abbas in the middle. Again, both of them, you see the same players here who were, like Sayed Mujtaba here failed, but the next day, he changed the game completely. And I think the order in which Sterling Strikers went about their bowling, if you look at them, you know they were on the expensive side, but somehow I think Raza Ali again was able to kind of bring the game back in the nick of time. Even though he wasn't very like he didn't have the bag of wickets which he normally has. I think his 4 overs along with Shefullah and Syed at the top. I think those 12 overs leaked really nothing, like really like 3 or 2 runs per over, which always helps when you have a total to defend. So I think credit must go to the Sterling Striker bowlers that they were able to defend. But if I was a Micah captain, I would be very satisfied, or at least glad that we were able to kind of at least come close to Sterling Strikers.
Yeah, Parthav, I'm looking at this game. I see that it was a 20-over game.
Yep.
So it was not a 25-over game. My feeling is I think there was some issues with that West Bloomfield Hill grounds where a number of the games started very late, actually. It didn't start at 9. I remember looking for the Legends game, and it was taking forever. And I know that Legends are very prompt. So I knew there was some other issue. And I also noticed that the Brownstown game started very late. But I can understand Brownstown game starting late because Brownstown is very laid back. All right. But what tipped me off was the fact that the Legends game started late, and that told me that something was wrong. And then sure enough, I see that this is a 20-over game. Having said that, I think that Micah can pat itself on the back, because just looking at the scorecard tells me that Micah got the bonus point. You get my point?
Yeah.
So again, a point which has been dropped off by Sterling Strikers. We have about 18 games to cover, and so I'm going to pass on this game, other than congrats Micah for getting the bonus point. Sterling Strikers, slight drop off. They dropped the bonus point in this game. The next day they lost the game against Canton 11. So they'll have to get back to the winning column. But here is the problem. In the next 4 weeks, they play the 3 top dogs of Pool C.
Yep.
They get to play GLCC, they get to play Pokeries, and then they get to play Glads. I'm not sure of the order. I think they play Glads last, but one of those other 3 they are going to be playing, and that's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I think that situation has happened with us as well when we were in some of those difficult groups. And I kept telling myself, we need to win most all of the games which are not with the big dogs, and then somehow cause that one big upset, one big dog, and we are through to the playoffs. So I think that's something which even Sterling Strikers captain Hassan would be thinking. If out of the three, he can get one of the three, I think he should be through to the playoffs.
I think he's pretty much in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Here, all he has to do is win one more game. Even if he doesn't, I think he already, by my reckoning, he has already got about enough points and bonus points and things like that to book himself. So I think the fight is only for the 5th place.
Right. Okay. I think we have a guest come through.
Please admit him. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Mars. I don't know who's Mars.
Think,
we'll figure it out, I guess. We'll figure out who is Mars, whoever Mars is.
All right. While he's joining, we'll go to the next game, the Brownstown Spartans game. And I know we were texting while this game was going on. Brownstown, this is another big win for them. They're just starting to kind of revive the old Brownstown magic, coming back to life, albeit maybe a week or two late, but nevertheless, I think they're still alive, mathematically still possible to get to the playoffs. They still have to keep winning. I mean, that's something which they need to do. They need to keep winning the games. They need to having the services of their big players, Abdul Wahab, Mansab Bhat, Heather. All those guys need to perform. Now, I'm not sure of Tuhin Rahman Asad. I haven't heard this name before. I don't know whether you've heard this name, but he basically started really well. I was watching this scorecard, and within no time they were 50 in the first 8 overs or 9 overs, and both of these guys were batting really well. And I was like, wow, Brownstown is coming back. I'm happy to see them back, and I think Spartans. They are a really good team. I've seen them play, but somehow I think they're losing the key battles, losing places where they can make an impact. I think if you look at the Brownstown, after they were back in the game when they had like 4 for 87, and then again they let the likes of Shahrukh and Mansab get away. I mean, it's difficult to control Mansab, but still I feel like they had a chance to get the total under manageable amount, like under 120, 130. They didn't give a lot of extras. If you see your 13, and I know Brownstown sometimes leaks a lot of extras, but look at that! Wow, Rashid would have been so proud of his bowlers. Just 6, and as I said, I think most teams. If you look at the top, and we'll look at Pokris, we'll look at Glads, we'll look at GLCC. I think that's something we'll find. They have single digits or just about there. And that's how, those 10, 15 runs make all the difference, the momentum. So great win for Brownstown. I'm glad that they are back in the competition. But also personally, I feel fearful that I still have to play them. So they're awake, wide awake. And now we are going to face the inevitable rising Brownstowns.
Parthiv, Rome was not built in a day. Brownstown just took another step to make it to the playoffs. All right. We have been saying this, that practically they're dead, but mathematically they're alive. So Rashid is a very smart guy, and he is banking not on our comments, but on the mathematical fact that he's mathematically alive. And as long as mathematically is alive, he's going to keep kicking and screaming to be let into the playoffs. So this is another solid win. Now the Brownstown diesel engine, if you really look at it, Parthiv, has added a lot more bells and whistles. And these bells and whistles are fresh, young bells and whistles. These are not the old blokes who can't bend down and things like that. By the time you bend down, the ball has passed you. You get my point? Now, these are young guns they have added. And if you look at it, Rashid has gone away from those old faithful, and he has brought in a bunch of new guys. Last week he did that. This week it's another set of bunch of new guys. And if you ask me next week, it's probably going to be another set of new guys which will be coming on. So sure enough, another 150 plus score. I have seen Tuhin Rahman Asad in leatherball cricket. He's a pretty good player. So no surprises that he's scoring runs here. I have no idea who Shahrukh is, but is definitely not Shah Rukh Khan, but this Shah Rukh Chowdhury definitely seems to be able to play, because when you score 40 runs with 3 sixes and 28 balls, the guy can definitely bat well. Once again, this was a anticipated result. All of us, as I said last week, we are fickle-minded analysts. As soon as we saw 169 runs, immediately every one of us jumped onto the Brownstown bandwagon last week. And sure enough, Brownstown rewarded us with a good fancy win, good fat win. I think if you look at the Spartans, they're a bunch of very nice, good organizers. The Spartans are nothing but the Blues of old. I remember Kishore Mithyala and Arun and a whole bunch of guys. They organized the tournament for
Novi
Cup and Novi Cup and things like that. Very committed guys. They do a lot of things together, and I think they all work together, or they have pretty good camaraderie. So they have a guy named Chanakya Lokam, and he has been giving stellar performance after stellar performance. And once again, he is the only guy who offered a lone resistance. Sure, Nadeem Khan, their skipper, had a good outing, but the kind of hype Nadeem Khan came with, I don't think he has lived up to that hype. I have not seen that kind of big hitting and big run scoring from him so far in DCL, or for that matter of last year. I think maybe 1 or 2 games, but Chanakya Lokyam has been impressive. He has been getting the job done, but they probably need some more help, and this last couple of losses has certainly not helped them. But more importantly, Brownstown and Spartans played 2 times this year, because remember, in Pool B, you do play one team twice. Right. And unfortunately for Spartans, they drew Brownstown as the team which they played twice. Now, obviously, they have both won 1 game apiece, and both times, both teams won with bonus. So it's all going to come down to net run rate, because head-to-head is going to be 1-1. So it's going to come down to net run rate. I'm assuming with this big outing, probably Brownstown has the slightly better net run rate. But Spartans will have to, again, like Bulls, go back to that drawing board and find out what needs to happen. Because a couple of losses have creeped in, and if you don't get your house in order, soon the season will pass you by.
Yep. Yeah, so we have a visit. I think we have Ashraf. He represents GLCC.
Okay.
So welcome, Ashraf. We'll probably talk to you very soon. We bring you in when we are talking about GLCC. I think Rising Stars, about your GLCC Pokies, which is this weekend. So before we do that, I think the next game we have is the showcase game of the week from last week. This match really lived up to its potential. Its name tag, I think, rightly had both Blasters and Legends, and I know you called out for them to put on a show, and on what a show they put on. Really close. I mean, with the kind of start Blasters had, I was scared. I know I predicted Blasters, but as soon as they started and the score read 4 for 7, I was pretty much looking for like who is the destroyer. First of all, when the game started, I was looking for, is Harish playing? Is Harish Yalamanchali playing? And I found out he is playing. And once I knew that, my chances were, always on the decline. And he actually made a difference. His bowling spell, 4 overs, one made 5 for 3. I'm pretty sure he would have bowled I'm not sure as to why. He pretty much was bowling the last over. So yes, he was bowling the last quote of overs. But at the top, he, along with Praveen and Gaurav Reddy, they just basically decimated Blasters. After that, they weren't able to recover. Even though Deepak and Hari Muralidharan did give them a respectable total, I would say 82 with their line of bowling. I would still fancy a chance, provided Deepak kind of comes out with a roaring spell. But I think what Legends did well is they kept Deepak away. Deepak was very miser. 5 overs, 3 maiden, 6 for 1. So he did bowl with real venom. But I think they were able to absorb the pressure from him. There were a lot. Even the Legend started really badly, They were at I think we were talking about it over WhatsApp. They were 3 for 3 in the blink of an eye. The first 3 wickets were uh, down before even you could say the word legend. But after that, I was pretty sure, and I remember I am Avi on the side saying, as long as Harish is there, I think it's still a Legends game. And exactly that's what happened. He steadied along with Gautam and Anand in the middle. He steadied the rocking ship. He made sure that Legends got close, even though he went out, but he left it for Gaurav, who came in and made sure that the Legends finished the game. It was awfully close. Again, they lost a bunch of wickets at the end, which made it really interesting. At one point of time, they were coasting. They were 7 for 72, or 7 for 71 or 72. They were coasting, but after that, they lost a couple of wickets in a hurry, and which made it really interesting. And after that, if you look at the bowling figures, I do feel like Imti should have been bowled out in this kind of a tight chase. It's surprising to see the first four bowlers, which are top bowlers, not being bowled out. And Ravi Teja, I think it is surprising that he only bowls 2 overs unless he has an injury or something which prevents him from bowling more. I'm very surprised that he was bowling only 2 overs. So all in all, I feel there were some tactical mistakes made by Blasters, which I think resulted in their defeat. Again, as I pointed out, the batting order looks lopsided. I think I see a lot of changes being made from game to game, and then the bowling. I think somehow they aren't being able to use all of their premier bowlers and give them a fair share of their quota. But again, as I keep saying, Harish Yelamachali is my guy. He is, if he plays all the games, he's definitely a big nomination for MVP of the season.
Arthur, the showcase game of the week lived up to its billing. I could not make up my mind who was going to win this game as the game went through phases, all right, where one team asserted itself and it looked like that they were in the driver's seat. Now, Blasters, if you really look at it, they were 12 for 4 in 8 overs and 26 for 6 at the 13-over break. So they have just scored 26 runs and 6 wickets are gone at the 13-over break. I felt at that point Legends were in firm control. But remember last week when Satish came on this show, I asked him a very poignant question. I asked him, hey, what is not working? What is keeping you awake at night? As a skipper, I used to have some sleepless nights where something is bothering me. And I said, we might have a lot of things working for us, but I'm never happy. And I felt that something or the other needs to be improved. And there are some things which keep me up at night wondering what can be done. And I asked him and he was very frank and he said it is the middle overs which bothers him because they have been leaking runs in the middle overs. And sure enough, in this game too, after 26 for 6 in 13 overs, you would think that they would wrap their opponent under 50. But no, they let them get all the way up to 82. Right. Again, it's the middle overs which cost them. But credited to their batting, that also credit Hari Muralidharan. He put in a great effort with the bat. He was the lone star there. Deepak gave him decent support at that with his 16 runs. But having said that, Deepak is a guy who has scored a century in this league, you see. So he's not a pushover batsman. But, batting under pressure is different from batting without any pressure. So, but coming back to this game, I thought it was a very good total. Knowing the Blaster bowling, that was a pretty good thing. I do believe that Ravi Teja has some kind of an injury because I have seen Ravi Teja of old, and this Ravi Teja is bowling, is decent, but I wouldn't say as deadly as he was probably 4-5 years ago. Sure enough, Gaurav hit Ravi Teja for a 6. All right. And that is what helped them get the bonus point, actually, because that 6, until that 6 came, the bonus point looked to be going in favor of. At that point, I still did not know if Gaurav lost the wicket, it was 9 down. So it could be anybody's game. But that 6 changed the entire equation. All of a sudden, Legends went boom into the driver's seat. And the next thing you know, they are getting the bonus point too. So for whatever it is, I think there is something missing. We may not know all the facts, but that's about it. But having said that, even the legends, when they opened the batting, it was a collapse at the top. I thought it was a needless run out. We saw Avinash text us saying that what a waste of a wicket by Satish Belamakonda, going for a needless run and getting run out. There was absolutely no run there. It's certainly not Vamsi's fault. That was totally Belamakonda's fault. Let me put it out on national television. He had no business running for that run. There's no run there, and he went for that run. But I think it is very interesting to see this Gaurav Reddy Naga. He was the man. Yes, I think who's this? Gautam and Harish set up the game very well, because after that initial collapse, they really set up the game very well. And Anand produced a good 10 runs. They set up the game, but even at that time, I couldn't make out. And I felt that the Blasters had the upper edge once those 2-3 guys got out. But credit Gaurav Reddy Naga, he seems to have ice cold water running in his veins. Under pressure, he made sure Legends won. And not just that they won, but rather that they won with bonus, with balls to spare. So if you really look at the Legends, they have sealed a spot. 5 games, 5 wins, and all bonus points secured, 25 points. You get my point? So they are smoking hot. They are too hot to handle. They are playing fantastic cricket as a team. Very hard to find a single thing which they are doing wrong, other than what our friend Belamakonda himself told, that in the middle overs, they are leaking a little too much runs. But considering the fact that it's 5 wins and 5 games, 5 wins, 25 points, that is nitpicking, if you ask me. It's too good. They're just too good. They're smoking hot, firing on all cylinders. So give them credit.
Absolutely.
Oh, by the way,
right.
Sorry, Partha, before you go, I just got a text from Vijay Shanmugam saying that Dynamites beat UCA. I think there was a rescheduled game. It happened today. UCA scored 65 and Dynamite scored 66 for 5. Dynamites won with bonus. I think for UCA, Srinivas Elimalai had 24 runs. Thangavale had 14. Satya Kompala had 13. Everybody else, not even worth mentioning. For Dynamite, and again for Dynamites, Arun Salvaraj had a fantastic bowling night. Venkat Govindarajan had a fantastic bowling effort. He was the pick of the bowlers. And Suresh Balakrishnan, after a bad outing the previous game or the 2 games ago, he had a fantastic game, coming back 5 overs for 9 runs and 2 wickets. He's a favorite of mine. I like the way he's a very nice person to deal with, and I like seeing some of these guys perform. And when it came to Dynamite's batting, it was Arun Swaminathan, the guy who came from Pokhris to Dynamites, and Venkat then Satish Shankara himself had a good game, and Karthik Thinnanur had another good game. So they finished off UCA. So congrats to Dynamites.
Yep. Yeah, I think with this win, I think Dynamite seriously put themselves in a playoff spot. I think it's going to be interesting between SSK, Dynamites, and Patriots. I think those 3 are fighting for the 2 spots. So interesting. Very, very great win for Dynamites. I think they are on a roll right now. Okay. I think the next game, I think we'll probably cut it short, because I think this was a complete lopsided game. I know we talked to UCA. I think this is a jinx, which I think, are we putting a jinx on teams? I think we bought on Thunderbolt and they lost badly. We bought in UCA, they lost badly. And this was a complete, I mean, I was shocked at the way Safari just rolled over and easily just won in 10 overs. I don't know if UCA were missing their bowling or if they just were, it wasn't their day. But Swarna Rahul, I'm sorry, I'm going to kill their last name, Rithwini. I mean, single-handedly in the first 10 overs, coming in and just swiping UCA out of the game. I mean, when somebody comes in chasing 70 and scores 55 in that much quick time, you can just imagine either that dude is phenomenal or somehow UCA were missing their bowling. So it was completely, took me from left field as to how easily Safaris got the better of UCA.
Parthiv, I think our friend Satya Veladitam needs to call Safari's captain Venkat Kolla and get him on the show because he has been putting on a show. I mean, he needs a recognition. I think Venkat Kolla has done a fantastic job this season. This is their second win. Again, Swarna Rahul Mritini is having a ball of a game on this game. He single-handedly demolished UCA, as you said, right from the first ball. First with the ball, he demolished them. Then with the bat, it was an absolute merciless killing of UCA bowlers. I think and not only that, this Swarna guy is now in the league leaders in the batting department. So it is a fantastic win for Safaris. And I actually have to tip my cap to them out of respect, saying that it was a fabulous outing. This is how you come back and prove your detractors wrong. Hey, when you do well, we are happy to acknowledge it and give you all the credit for that. Fantastic job, Safaris. UCA, Parthiv, there is a question which I have to ask you, and this was something which, when the UCA skipper was here, it was a statement which bothered me, but I did not challenge him on that because if something was working for him, I did not want to challenge him and upset their rhythm. But he mentioned that they do not plan for a game. All right. Now we are going to have Ashraf Shah on the game in a short while. I know GLCC are great planners. I looked at GLCC and I modeled Glads on GLCC. It's no secret. I saw what they used to do and I tried to ape them and I tried to become better than them. Simple as that. After all, if you're copying somebody else, copy a good role model. That's how I always say that. The cars were invented by GM and Ford and all those guys, but the Japanese are better at it. Let's acknowledge the facts. But here is the thing. When he said that he doesn't plan for a game and they just come and then they just look at each other and then they just figure it out there, it bothered me, but I didn't want to challenge him because if they were coming off a win and things like that, hey, why should I say anything and upset that rhythm or whatever things which they have going? After all, it's a new team. But I know Glads does a lot of planning. I know GLCC does a lot of planning. I know Pokhari's does a lot of planning. You take any of the good teams in the league, you will find at least the guys who are Indus Thunders, they do a planning. None of them come to the game and just try to figure it out right then and there. I just do not believe that any one of us is that smart that we can figure it out. I can honestly assure you, Parthiv, what is this, 2018, before we went for the Glads finals against Knockers, myself, Taif, and Satya drove all the way from from Detroit to Lansing. For me, it was a 1.5 hour drive, 1.5 hour drive back. And we spent 3.5 hours with Kishan. All four of us brainstormed as to what we were going to do in the 2018 final. Almost nobody else knows it, but in the Glads team, we know it. All four of us sat there and figured out what we are going to do. We always have a plan A, and if plan A is not working, plan B, and if plan B is not working, we go to plan C. I think, what is your thought on that, on this question, whether you should plan or just figure it out as and when things roll out?
No, I think planning is definitely something which you would learn as you get experience. I think UCA being a new team, they are pretty much in that jolly ride where it's basically fresh new thing for them. They just want to come play, not think about it too much because there's not a lot of expectation. I think once they have start developing those expectations, you start building plans of how you're going to execute. I think that's pretty much happens with every new team, or at least the first couple of years, where you're basically just getting a feel, you're just enjoying, you're not worried about whether you're winning or losing. Every Saturday is just another day where you're just enjoying and enjoying your game, but you're not thinking about winning or getting to playoffs or things like that. So I think UCA is in that mode. So when he said they do not plan, I think they meant like they're just basically enjoying their time year round. But I'm pretty sure down the road, like next season or maybe the next season after that, I think they'll probably, if they want to be serious about this league, they will have to plan. So there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Parthiv. I honestly feel that nothing goes proper without a plan. You should have a plan. Now, maybe you can't implement the plan, but then you should have a backup plan. Hey, this doesn't work. This is
Mhm.
probably what we are going to do. But that's just for them to think about it. I know that if it is working for them, I didn't want to upset that. But I thought he represented his team very well. That was the only statement which bothered me. I didn't say anything on that day. The reason was, hey, if they were having a decent outing, that's why we call them onto the show. But now that last 3-4 games they have lost, if they want to go back and reevaluate, maybe this is something which they'll have to think about.
Yep. All right. The next game we had was an upset in the cards. Second one in the row for Thunders. And again, I think I primarily blame a lot of changes which were made to the Thunders lineup. I know they have a big squad and they have players who come in and out based on their availability. And then I think that's the reason why we see these lopsided battles. And Troy Hawks should count themselves lucky that they didn't have to face the cream of Indus Thunders. And they took full advantage of that. I mean, Troy Hawks is definitely on the ascending, as we've all talked about. We've brought in the guests, and they have definitely improved leaps and bounds this season, and they are looking very, very. I mean, I'm pretty sure they are almost, if not through, they are very close to being through to the playoffs. They, along with Raptors, are at the top. I think they've lost one game, but I think they've got pretty much all the bonus points, which I think makes a difference, even in your wins. So Troy Hawks, I think they did a fair job of winning the battles on most cases in batting and even in the bowling. In the Thunder, surprisingly again electing to bowl. I'm not sure if this is an experiment which Sandeep is trying to kind of see how good they are in chasing, or if they have availability as the issue, players leaving. Again, I see a lot more frequency in them electing to bowl. So I'm guessing it's one of the two reasons: the availability of the players, or there's experimentation. But even at the batting lineup, Praveen Bangera coming down to like 7 or 8. That's surprising when you have an inexperienced batting lineup, which they had. They, apart from Vijay and Sandeep, I don't see a lot of the top order, which normally plays for Indus Thunder. So I would, in this case, I would have put Praveen at the top to kind of make sure that he shepherds the chase. But getting him so down the order, I think that by the time he came, it was pretty much a very uphill task for him to even try to kind of reach the total. But all credit to Chaitanya. I think he was the chief destroyer. If you look at the first 5-6 wickets, he basically was the wrecker of the Troy Hawks bowling. Well supported by the others, Kaushik and Vijay Kumar. And all credit to Troy Hawks. I think they're looking very nice, very nicely placed. They still have a couple of big games, but I think they've played the cream. They have played Troy Hawks. I mean, they played Thunders and Raptors. So I see the next few games they consolidating on their position. So they've already, kind of played the big games, and now it's time for them to kind of make sure they have no slip ups.
Parthiv, I think the Hawks continue to impress, and they continue to impress mightily. It's one of the best stories of 2021 DCL has been the outperformance by the Hawks. They are punching way above their weight class, and they have just beaten Thunders as well as FCC. And in both cases, they took away the bonus points from Thunders as well as from FCC. Neither of those two teams got even a sniff of the bonus point. And it is very obvious at this point that 1 out of the 5 spots, which is coming out of Pool A, is going to go to Indus Thunders. Natraj and Sashi have been excellent ads for for Troy Hawks. I think their bowling, the Troy Hawks bowling, I can't say it is spectacular, all right? But while I can't say it is spectacular, I can admit that they are good enough to get the job done against most teams. It's a well-rounded unit is how I see them, Parthiv. I think this Thunders loss, it's a back-to-back losses. First, they lost to Patriots, and then At least against Patriots, I think Indus Thunders got the bonus point. But in this game, they didn't even get a sniff of the bonus point. And if you look at this game, Parthiv, I don't even know what was the role of Abhishek Shankari. Okay, Abhishek Shankari was a skipper of Spartans long time back. He was a pretty good batsman in my recognition. In this game, he didn't even get to bat. And for that matter of fact, he bowled only 1 over, and he bowled 1 over for 4 runs. I'm not understanding Gopu's strategy here. There have been, as you said, there have been a lot of changes. I do not understand how Chetan Dushyant comes that low down the order. I've always rated him a pretty good batsman, so I don't understand that. I don't understand Ravi Ganta going ahead of Chetan Dushyant. I mean, for the life of me, I cannot figure that out. I'm not sure what this strategy is, but there are a lot of things here which makes it very worrying as to what are you trying to accomplish. If you want to give everybody chances and things like that, but meanwhile you have lost 2 games. Yeah, I mean, they have enough talent to make it through, but you're setting up future problems down the line. Again, I'm not sure what Gopu is thinking. Maybe we'll have to bring Gopu on one day and ask him, hey, genius Gopu, please tell us what's going on, because we can't figure it out. At least I can't figure it out. But like you, I think Gopu goofed up a few decisions on this one. That's I kind of agree with you on this one.
Yep. But I think Indus Thunders, as you've seen, came back on Sunday with their A team. So they basically, got back on track. And I'm hoping, there's no more experimentation, and Indus Thunders is serious about that.
Part of going back to that scorecard, you'll see that Nilesh Gite, if I'm not mistaken, bowled a few 3 overs. All right. Nilesh Gite always was a wicket keeper in my mind. All right. When Nilesh Gite became a full-time bowler, or a bowler to the extent where he's going to bowl 3 overs, beats me. I have no clue. I really don't know. Go to the bowling score. This is just off the top of my head. I remember it, that I thought he bowled 3 overs. If you look at the Troy Hawks, this thing, I thought he bowled 3 overs. I could be wrong, but that's what I said. I do not understand.
Yeah, I think part of it is as I think we had predicted, right? The Indus Thunders have a very big squad, probably because of the acquisition they have made, as well as the bolts. There's some veterans from the Indus Bolts team, like Azim and Nilesh and Raj Sehgal. All those guys are being veterans of the Indus family. And I think this was...
So Nilesh Gite was going to bowl the 4th over, and looks like he got injured because Gopu came and finished his 4 balls. So that makes it even more interesting, So I don't know. Anyway, all right.
Let's move. Yep. Next game, I think, was a complete one-sided game. Pokhari's completely decimating poor AR Phantoms. Again, I was on the radio talking about the AR Phantoms winning the toss and praying that they would do that. Otherwise, Pokhari's are going to massacre, and that's what exactly they did. Turn by turn, Saran and Neil and Satish Mani, everyone basically took turns. I mean, to actually wipe. But I'm again looking at. I keep bringing his name up. Vignesh. I don't see him amongst the runs. That's a concern for Pokhari's. I really like, amongst all the teams, I feel like Pokhari's has a really good batting lineup. I mean, obviously there are a few contenders. Glads is one of them. GLCC is one of them. But Pokhari's batting is really threatening. So Vignesh is a big part of it. But to not see him perform, or not being among the runs, I know he performs, but he's not being among the runs. So that's concerning for me, being looking at Pokhari so closely. But this game, I mean, I am lost of words as to what more can we say about Pokhari's, or what can we even talk about Phantoms. Phantoms learning, but they're still, they have to, go through this brand. Every team does that. Every new team does that. So, don't be disheartened. Things will be much better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only good thing is that they have some very nice guys. But having said that, this was a lopsided game. I'm sure they had to run around a lot and get the balls. But I was quite happy that Pokhari's batted first, because what's the point if Phantoms batted first and this game is over in 40 minutes? I think Phantoms, by looking at how Pokris batted, maybe can take a page out of their book. May not be able to match them step for step, but look and see how a top team plays. But I think this is the first 200 plus score for Pokris. So congrats to Pokris on recording their first 200 plus score. But I thought Saran Raj put on a masterclass. Now, if he puts on a masterclass that against GLCC this week, then we'll have a real good game on our hand. But both teams, if you ask me, in this game, they are not in the same class. One is a super heavyweight and the other is a lightweight. Pokris did what they had to do. I think Neil, Satish, and Saran, they all sizzled, and the Pokris bowling was top notch. So I can't say anything more than that.
The next game we have is GLCC Rising Stars, and I think it'd be interesting to probably bring Ashraf into this fold and talk about a little bit about GLCC. I know you guys are a spotlight playing Pokris. This game, I mean, my analysis, I actually umpired this game, so I basically real close to the players. The Rising Star bowling was not up to mark. I mean, they have decent bowlers. I mean, they didn't really bowl badly, I would say, but the GLCC batting was too hot for them to handle. I think again, people just took turns. Abhishek started, and then Shoaib. I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing Shoaib Sheikh. I haven't seen him I'm not I don't play in the Mishka League. I'm not sure if he's been here for so long, but again, a very clean hitter. He, along with Hemant, Manish, pretty much, took toll of Rising Stars. That's probably another big total for GLCC, 200 plus. And then bowling, we had the same uh, story. I think it was everybody who bowled pretty much got a wicket. So, one-sided games. Rising Stars are not living up to their name. They are not rising. They are basically going below the expected value. And so I'm going to bring in Ashraf. Ashraf, hi, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Cool.
Hi, Ashraf.
Hey, Viju, long time no see, man.
Yes,
I just saw
long time no
part 2
see.
last game, but I haven't seen you forever.
Yeah, I know. At least Zoom allows us to see each other.
Right.
Welcome to the show, Ashraf. Happy to see
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Same here.
All right. Vijay, you want to finish this game and then we
Yeah,
move to the showcase game?
Sure, we can do that. I think if Pokris looked very impressive, I need to correct that. Avi just texted that Pokris have scored more than 200 runs before. They scored it against Tamil Pasange, so I obviously missed that one. So congrats to Pokris for breaking the 200-run barrier a second time then. So I'll just correct my own boo-boo. But having said that, if Pokris looked very impressive against AR Phantoms, I thought GLCC looked even more impressive against Rising Stars. Now, GLCC, if you ask me, is playing like the best team in the league. And I'm guessing, this is my guess, Parthiv, Shoaib Sheikh is the newfound first addition to the GLCC lineup that Samish was planning to unleash on Glads when Glads versus GLCC was supposed to take place 2-3 weeks ago. But I'm guessing the longer you couldn't wait any longer, so finally Rising Stars probably got the brunt of it. And as you said, the Rising Stars are playing like the sinking stars. But my feeling is we are probably going to see a generous helping of Shoaib Sheikh both against Pokris and against Glads this weekend is what I'm guessing. But having said that, hey, GLCC is playing like the number 1 team in the league. So in fact, I probably am going to change my pick of Glads versus GLCC from Glads to GLCC, knowing that the kind of lineup we are having. All right, nice. Continue.
All right, Ashraf, talk to us. First, I would like to ask you, about some of the new guys. So this is the first time I'm seeing Shoaib. Talk to us about him. And the composition of the GLCC team this year.
Yeah, I mean, We have been trying to get new guys. I mean, we don't go out and find people in the other leagues and all. So it's just the oldies we've been playing forever in this league. So we are trying to give opportunities to the young guys to come in and be part of our team and kind of enjoy. I mean, we don't put pressure on anybody, like you have to perform and all that. Just have fun, take it easy. Just play to win, definitely on the field, and just go with with a plan and work out how things would go. Just take it as it comes. We have a lot of young guys this year. I mean, of course, we had Akash and others, as everybody knows, and we still have some oldies around. I don't want to call a lot of these guys that we have as oldies, but yeah, it's the truth, right? I mean, but we have a good addition of young guys this year. We have starting with Hemant, which probably everybody knows about him.
Hmm.
He's a very good all-rounder. He's a very consistent bowler, and he's a much better batsman than his bowling. I don't know what he thinks about which is his strong suit, but I see it both ways. We have Sandeep, another young guy. He's very impressive. Especially same bowling batting. We have Tanmay. He's our left-hand bat. We have Vaibhav. So we have a kind of good mix going this year. And then we have in the bowling lineup we have Satish, and then our other guys are hanging around. But and then we cannot miss Sudeep. He's always the guy who comes in the lower half and gets us those big runs. So, but talking about Shoaib, I think he and Manish are the two guys, who are like a powerhouse for us. Just like for Glads, there's Ronak and Anoop and others, right? So definitely, I mean, we are excited to have them, and we are looking forward for some great playing with them, throughout this league. And I know the Shoaib, I don't know, is kind of an unknown quantity for us. I mean, he was always planning to play with us for last couple of years, but nothing worked out because he plays in that other leagues, so it's hard to find time for him. But this year he kind of committed to play with us, so which is quite nice. And yeah, we are looking forward to playing with him. I don't know, Parthiv, did you see him play? Yeah, yeah, you were there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was umpiring. I was very
Correct,
impressed
correct. Yeah,
with
yeah.
the way he. I mean, he didn't look like slogging. He was just playing straight bat and still hammering sixes. So it was great to see his batting.
Yeah, and
Another
actually
couple of
he
players.
was out of form, and
Oh
the way he
wow!
was playing, yeah, I mean, he was not scoring for the last 3 4 games. It seems that's what Manish was telling me. So
Oh
it was
wow!
good for him to get back into the form, kind of. So, but I've seen him hit sixes like out of the ground. So he's definitely a big
Hmm.
star, and DCL is very lucky to have him. I would say, along with us. So yeah,
So
definitely. I mean,
another player I'm waiting to unleash is, and I have a question is, I see on the roster Manpreet Singh. Is that the Manpreet Singh of the old?
yes,
Okay, when
that's
is that?
the
When is
money.
he going to be unleashed? When
I
do
don't
we
know.
see
I
him?
mean, mostly Samish works with the schedules of everybody. I just stay out of it. I just go there. A couple of hours, just have fun. Play, come back, just relax. I don't get into all that. So he has his hands full. With all the managing the schedules and working around with all these things. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is the same guy. Then we have Nopreet. I mean, I totally forgot about him. I mean, he's like the
Yep.
killer, right? I mean, once he gets in, he doesn't need to see a second ball. So yeah,
Yep.
definitely. I mean, we have a good mix going. I'm very pretty excited about this group.
Okay. Viju, if you have a question, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll keep
Yeah,
asking.
Ashraf, yes, I do agree that you have a very good mix. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and whatever the pudding which GLCC has been serving in the last 4 5 games, if I look at it, I think it's two or three 200 plus scores, if I'm not mistaken. Every opportunity you've been killing it on the field. So you have two great games coming up. Hopefully, they live up to the billing. You have the game this week, which is against Pukris, which is a top-notch game, which got a unilateral 4-0 vote for Showcase Game of the Week honors. So congrats on that. But my question to you is, what would be the keys to victory for, you often see this being asked of the NBA coaches and things like that. So if I had to ask you, and you have a very sharp brain, what would be the keys to victory for GLCC against Pokris?
I mean, we'd like to keep it simple as we do, just while bowling, bowl to the stumps, make the batsman make the mistakes, field well, and just back everybody, don't put pressure on anybody unnecessarily, and just do what you're doing. I mean, there's nothing to change, I would say, just keep doing what you're doing. That's all we need.
Yeah.
And who amongst the Pokris lineup would GLCC be, talking about or planning, when it comes to one-on-one kind of battles?
I mean,
Who do you think are threats?
Prasanna is exceptional. They have a lot of very good players. Satish is a good bat, and Vicky is there, and then this young chap now, the guy who's scoring the run, who scored 50, I think, last game. So yeah,
Yes.
they're pretty competitive team and very good team to play against. So I mean, we are excited and looking forward to playing with them now. And it's been always a good game against them. Every time we have played, it's a good camaraderie on the field, and we've always enjoyed playing against each other. So yeah.
Parthiv, since we do not have a person from Pokris to represent them today, I think they're all busy or whatever it is. Again, Satya was the one arranging it. Let me put you on the spot. Imagine you are the Pokris skipper, or let's say that you are the decision maker. I don't want to ask Ashraf because Ashraf is the opponent. What is your optimum lineup for Pokris against GLCC, which you would put up?
All right, so I'll have to look at their squad. So I would definitely want Prasanna to be present, Prasanna Venkatesh to be present. I would definitely have Ravi Narala, obviously he's the skipper. That's 2. I would have Raghu Kumar Palanasamy. That's 3. I would have Satish Mani 4. Vignesh 5. Who else am I missing? Avnil and Saran Raj. How many have we done?
We have got 7.
Okay, and then I would go with the with the bowlers. Amit Sivarai, Jayant. I mean, the Pokris have a very slim squad, so it's very I mean, it's easy to pick who the 11 would be. They didn't have a lot of options as well. So obviously our fellow analyst Avi, he would be there in my lineup, and then who am I missing? The last slot is kind of. I know I would have picked Ranjit, but I know that he is injured, so I'm trying to pick somebody else. I probably go with Suresh Kumar Balasubramanian. I think I've seen a little bit of his good batting. Yeah, those would be probably mine.
Okay. You have one more person because you are allowed to 12.
Oh, okay. Difficult to pick. I mean, I think I'll probably want to see the bowling stats and batting stats to see who I would pick. I think we probably go with Prasanna Govind. I think he's the only one I think I would go with as a 12th. Yeah, that would be my 12th.
Yeah, I probably will definitely put Satish Mani into the mix because I think he's a good player. So you didn't have no, you did not. So I definitely would add Satish Mani to the mix because I think he's a very good batsman.
He's my favorite left-hander. I've said one or many times.
Certainly, he was not so favorite because you conveniently missed him.
I am sure I must have missed him because I must have either said it and not not recorded, or I must have
No,
missed it by
you,
way
you,
virtue.
you you
But
can go
he
and
would,
look at you can go and look at the YouTube recording. You never mentioned him.
okay. Then my apologies to Satish and Pokri's team. I
Oh,
think he is a definite
oh,
in. I
actually,
would basically open with him.
oh, actually, you did
I
mention him. Sorry, it's my bad.
Yes.
You mentioned him.
Yes.
No,
So
that
I
was the
would definitely open.
that was the fourth name you mentioned. All right, no problem.
Yeah. He would. He would be my opener. I would basically start with Satish Mani, and maybe even have Vignesh open with him, just to the left right to combination, because I think one of the things they do well, and I think that's something which I've seen them, is they use the twos. They use the twos really well. If you keep bowling them on the offside, Vignesh will keep hitting you out of the ground and keep picking twos. And so is Satish Mani. He not only has the the leg side shots, but he also has a amazing offside play. So he's difficult to kind of bowl to. So that would be my two players I would
So,
watch out for.
so Prasanna, sorry, Parthiv, next question. Let's help our friend Ravi Narala out a bit. What are the keys to victory for Ravi Narala to pull off the upset? Because all of us
I
are expecting GLCC to win, I'm guessing.
Hey Viju, if I may say, I would also add Jayant Kumar, the guy.
Yeah,
He's a very good
Yeah,
bowler.
No,
yeah.
Parthiv already mentioned him.
Oh, he got it.
He's a very good bowler. Yes,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
played
yeah,
with
yeah.
him. Yep.
Yeah,
So I think
Parthiv
the
already
keys to
mentioned.
success, the keys to success for Pokris is, I think, making sure that they don't make mistakes, because I think GLCC preys on, as Ashraf was saying, they prey on you to commit the errors. They'll keep bowling you nagging, line and length. They'll keep fielding well. They'll choke up the runs, and that's how they'll create that pressure to make you make the mistake. So I think that's going to be one of the keys for Pokris to have that patience and not throw in the towel very early. Just soak up the pressure. Make sure you kind of keep the wickets and don't play into that game of GLCC where they basically turn the screws and bowl like economical overs over after over. I think that's one of the keys, which I would say I've always whenever I've played GLCC, that's something which they do really well. And then the other part which I think is going to be a key is these battles of the unknown players. I think Shoaib and Manish and as you mentioned, Napreet. I think they definitely add that variety to GLCC's bowling. I think GLCC, if I'm not mistaken, Ashraf, GLCC has never had an out and out spinner, have they?
I mean,
I think
we
there's
had,
Bala.
yeah, we had Bala, we had Jalaj, he played for us.
Oh, okay.
Then we had Samita last season. He played against in finals. So yeah, we had
Okay.
spinners on and off. So it's
Yeah, but
a
I think traditionally, I think GLCC has always had like fast or medium pace bowlers. I think very few have, like you mentioned, two or three people. But now with Napreet, I think they've got that variation as well. So I think that he's going to be one of the key bowlers I would be looking for. He can bowl really fast off spinners. He looks like a
even
spinner,
Navpreet
but he
does
has
the
a
same,
strong
right?
arm.
Navpreet is also
Yeah,
an
yeah.
off. Yeah.
Right. So he's got that is another 5 overs I'd be watchful for.
Parthiv, you've missed your fellow committee member Jagan Panda, who is also a premium leg spinner once upon a time for GLCC. Ask Ashraf if you don't believe me.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
he was a good bowler. And the problem is now we don't practice. We just go to the games, right? So
Yeah.
he doesn't get to come and bowl and be around and bowl. But I used to enjoy batting against him in practice.
Hmm. And I think the other key is Pokris, even though they have played for so long, I think the experience, of GLCC definitely is going to make a difference. I think key moments again in these tight matches is who wins key moments, and that's going to be dictated by every over or maybe a passage of time. Who wins those key passages, and that's going to dictate the game. Toss, I don't feel is going to play that much of effect because I think both teams have powerful batting lineups. So immaterial of who wins the toss, I think it's going to be a good game. I expect, around that 110, 120 kind of game. Whoever bats first, and then the other team kind of, whoever is chasing, coming close to around 100, 110, whatever.
And because
Those
we
are
have
my.
because we have 2 or 3 more games to cover, I'm just going to ask the final question for Ashraf. Ashraf, for the longest time, you have been one of the most consistent batsmen for GLCC. Whenever I used to, now this is, I'm talking about in your prime, all right? I'm not talking right now, it's not fair to compare you at your present age to what you were, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I saw you in your prime. For those who do not know, who are new to DCL, Ashraf used to be the most consistent performer for GLCC, game in and game out. Whenever we had a game against GLCC, my biggest worry was, how do I get Ashraf out? Ashraf, for those who do not know, and including many, including Parthiv probably doesn't know, please tell us how you came about playing for GLCC. Just give out that personal story, and then we'll call the interview to a close.
You probably know that story, don't you?
I know the story, but I don't think the rest of DCL knows the story, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
Why do you think I asked you that question?
I know. I thought, you must have known this. So basically, this was like 2001 or around 2002. My daughter was just born like a year old, and I was staying in Farmington Hills in Drakeshire apartments back then. And then there were a lot of play area around in the Drake Park on the Grand River Drake area. So I took my daughter there, like my family, basically, wife and my parents, they were there with my daughter. And I came directly from work and I went to pick them up. And I saw a bunch of guys playing cricket under the basketball hoop, in that small area, because they were waiting for a lot of people to get over with their the baseball game, so they can go and play on those diamonds. And I was just looking, I'm like curious, and I'm like just waiting, I said, let me go and ask them if I can play with them. So basically I went over, I said, can I join you guys? And they said, yeah, yeah, come on. And so this was, I think, Thursday or Friday, and they looked at me. I pretty bowled a little bit and batted a little bit, and they asked me. Back then we used to do a lot of practice game. It seems no, that's not happening anymore. But so they said, we have a practice game coming up. Do you want to come and join and play? So I said, yeah, why not? And this was like for the last 5 years, 99 to 2002. So like 4 years, literally, I haven't played anything. And this was a good opportunity, so I didn't want to miss it. And so I went. And then I like scored big in that practice game, got a couple of wickets and all that. And that's how I got inducted into the GLCC group back then. So it was quite accidental. I never thought in US anybody plays cricket, and it was pretty exciting that way to get started. And
I think
now
a lot
thinking
of us
about
have
it,
like this story. I've
yeah.
heard a
So
lot of people, start this way.
right. So it's been like now what 20 years now, 2001. So
It's been a long, fruitful partnership. Thank you for sharing that story with all of DCL today, Ashraf. I wanted to wish you and GLCC the best of luck in the game against Pokris. We hope that the Pokris versus GLCC game will just live up to the billing, just like Blasters versus Legends game last week. But congrats on having the showcase game of the week. It's a big weekend for you guys. All the best.
thank you,
Yes.
Viju.
All the best,
Right.
Ashraf.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So let's finish up the rest of the games which we had. We bring up the results. I think the next game which we had
Or
was,
can you, Parthiv, can you go to the Dynamites game and then come back to the KRCC versus Kings 11 game? I just need to make a quick dot.
which Thunderbolts Dynamites?
Yeah, Dynamites Thunderbolts. You cover that and then come back. I'll be back shortly.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we'll cover Dynamites Thunderbolts. This game, I think we all predicted Dynamites to win, but it was easier than I think we thought about. So Dynamites, I think they have been batting really well. A lot of contributions from a lot of batsmen. I think different people are standing up at different points of time, and I think that's the secret sauce. It hasn't been like only a few people performing. Amrit at the top has been performing. Satish Sankara, obviously, he is like the all-time veteran of Dynamites. He always performs with the bat, and I see a good contribution from him. Anil and Saurabh, those guys are like the enigma for Dynamites. I think they do give that impetus. They have the ability to kind of hit big, and both of them kind of made sure that Dynamites reached that 110, 100 plus figure. And after that, I think it was making sure that they don't lose the plan. And this is exactly what they did. They've basically made sure that even when they bat or bowl, they have some strategy. They do not leave the plan. And I haven't seen in this season at least Dynamites losing close games. I think what I've always observed is throughout their you know at least the last few years, they've been losing close games and been on the wrong end of those. And those hurt more. Those hurt more than the ones which you lose by 50 runs or 10 wickets or 9 wickets. But this time around, the Dynamites are making sure that they are not in that situation in the first place. So all the games that they have won so far, they've made sure that they've you know created and maintained that plot and strategy. They've lost a game, but that's fine. But the games they've won, I'm happy to see that they have basically made sure that the game is always under control. They've never let it slip up. Go ahead, Viju.
Yeah, Parthiv, I feel that Vijay Shanmugam is on top of the world. They won this game with bonus, and then just now they have beaten UCA also with bonus. Dynamites are on top of the world. Vijay Shanmugam is on top of the world. From here, it's their playoff spot to lose, if you ask me. The only question is being consistent. They are taking care of business this year. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to go into the details of this game. But we have 18 games to cover, so somewhere we have to cut corners. So, but congrats to Dynamites, congrats to Vijay Shanmugam. They're on top of the world, well deserved. They're winning all the games which they have to win with bonus. So, fabulous job.
I think the next game we had was, I think we all had predicted this to be very close, and this is the game which ensures that Viju is not going to have a mustache this season. KRCC dropping points, losing the game. They got a bonus point, but they lost the game. And this was the game which I think was unusual in the form that when Kings 11 batted, I thought they were able to get more than what I would have expected KRCC to give. And I think one of the reasons I would say is Deepak at the bottom. I think somewhere they've somehow failed to make sure that Deepak doesn't get too many runs. Yeah, I see Deepak coming all around in the batting order. I've seen him come at the top. I've seen him come at the bottom. In this case, he made sure he had an impact. So from 7 for 62 or 8 for 72 to actually reach 96, all credit to him. His 19 or 20 runs which he has made that difference. That those last few runs were the ones that actually made sure that Kings 11, were able to meet that compared target. And KRCC, I think they had the game in their grasp all along. I never thought that KRCC is going to lose the game, except for the fact when Satish was out. And then I know there has been some sort of a debate as to some of the calls that were made. I was right across the ground, so I could hear some of these arguments going along. But nevertheless, I think somewhere in the middle order after Satish, they lost the plot. They still, just need, as he's always done, he's basically made sure that the game goes deep. He did take the game deep. and I was following this like you said, the game which you were following, where you were refreshing. I was refreshing my browser the last over itself, and I thought the last over uh, from Sunil, I think that was a big blunder from the KRCC side. They the new batsman, whoever he was, he couldn't get the rotation going. He somehow played that over out, thinking that next over Jasneet is going to be back on strike and he's going to take it. I think that basically added a little more pressure than it should have. Even if they had got like 2 or 3 runs in that over, that would have made it much easier for Jasneet to just work the ball around rather than going for the big shot, which he did. Didn't came up, and KRCC lost really, really close. So I think there's some evidence to the fact that you basically don't leave it to the end unless you are a Dhoni. So in this case, I think KRCC left it too late in the last over, and I feel that's one of the reasons they lost the game, which was in their hands.
Parthiv, when
You
I
guys,
saw the
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Parthiv, when I saw the team's roster, I tweeted in one of our groups that an upset is possible, but I still did not fully believe it. But just looking at the roster, I felt that KRCC were taking it a little too lightly. I didn't think they had their A team out there. I felt a few guys were missing, so I thought that Kings 11 had a chance, but I didn't fully believe it. But I felt that this an upset is possible. After all, Kings 11 had already beaten Strikers, and they had given a warning notice out, and so that should have been good enough reason for you to take that game a little more seriously. When I come to this game, Parthiv, I have no idea why Jasneet came that low. Because
Mm-hmm.
honestly speaking, I think I would have liked to see him come above Abhishek and Yogesh Mittal. All right. So right after Satish Gaba, I would have liked to see Jasneet come there. But that's just again, it might have been that at that point of time that they might have felt that they have this game in the books and they can't lose. And probably they thought that these two guys can probably bat ahead of Jasneet. But I'm not entirely convinced about that batting order. I think when it came down to the last over, as you rightly said, that the previous over set up that all the tension up, and when it came to the last over, it became anybody's game. And for Kings 11, they held on to their nerves and they got the win. When you go back and look at the comment, it was a spontaneous comment from Avinash. He basically looked at the KRCC roster and he felt KRCC cannot lose a game. But
Mm-hmm.
I knew Blasters were in their league, and I knew that Legends were in their pool. So mine was also a very spontaneous reaction to that spontaneous comment from Avinash, saying that, hey, 100% I felt that they're going to lose a game to one of the teams out there. I thought it was going to be either Blasters or Legends who will get them. And I thought maybe one of the other teams could also get them if they have a good day. I sure am glad to escape out of it, because the way KRCC has been playing this season, if you really think about it, they have been playing fabulous. So this game, it just didn't work out. They might just have to go back and look at how they are going to play their future games. But I would just forget this loss. But I think it was a very good game. People got their money for it. But congrats to Kings 11 for pulling this off. And now I don't have to depend upon Satish Belmakonda and Kings 11 and plead with them to come with their best possible 11 against KRCC. And this win by Kings 11, Parthiv, allows me to do this on national television. Can I just shave it off? Can I shave it off and make sure that just for that I was happy? Not that KRCC lost, but for the sake of my mustache, that I don't have to grow it this season. And I'm not getting into this comment again of growing this mustache again. But it happened all boom, 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 like that. I did not expect that. But the next thing I knew, with each passing game, I was getting more and more tension. But congrats to Kings 11.
Yeah, one of the requests which Yogesh had put to for the committee was to move the game because he had some issues with the availability of the players. And when the committee, they basically said, we won't be able to reschedule. I think one of the reasons I said, he was mentioning that, I want to make sure my team is a team, so that I can make sure Viju grows a mustache. He was also caught up with that. So
Hey, Parthiv, on this show, all we are trying to do is bring out excitement. And if it brings out excitement, I love Yogesh. Yogesh is a good friend of mine. I mean, I like many of the guys on the KRCC team. So it was just an innocent comment made, but
yeah,
we all got caught up in it. So
yeah.
but but I knew one thing. Even before Yogesh asked that request, if I know the committee well, there is no way they are going to reschedule a regularly scheduled game. That it
Exactly.
was going to
And but
it was going.
it was hilarious to see the reason which he came up with.
Anyways,
All right, the next game we had was Canton 11 versus Punjab Warriors, a high scoring game which Canton 11 I thought had enough. Truly speaking, when they scored 144, and seeing Punjab Warriors in the last few weekends where they haven't been uh, able to kind of score runs, and their batting hasn't come through. With those 144 runs, I was pretty sure that it was Canton 11 game, set, and match. And if you look at the Canton 11, their batting has started to really appear stronger and stronger as the season has been going. You see the Adarsh has been scoring consistently. There has been performances from the rest, like you see, Mohammad Mukhadas. We talked about it in length in the game against Sterling Strikers. Here was another performance. Four sixes out of 10 balls, four sixes, and 30 runs. I mean, that is as good as it gets. I mean, and that those 30 runs, if you look at it in the context of the game, those were the match winning run. So, man of the match. But Punjab Warriors, it was good to see them fight. Good to see a lot of people contributing. If you look at the scorecards, see a lot more double figures than single figures, which is always good for a captain. But somehow they weren't able to get the last few runs. They were close. I mean, I think at one point of time when I was checking the score, I felt like Punjab Warriors have a very decent chance of chasing this out. But somehow the last couple of wickets didn't really hold on. If one of them had held on, I think the game would have gone closer, because they still had, remember, they had still had 11 balls in hand. So if a couple of wickets hadn't gone in a hurry, I think this could have been really close if they had taken deep. But somehow I think they failed to kind of see this, and this is lack of experience. Again, if they had more experience in this league, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have you know capitulated with another 11 balls to go. So I think this just through experience, I think Punjab Warriors will learn this.
Arthiv, we are hitting new and new heights. I just got look at this. I just got a comment from Satish Belamakonda. He is watching DCL prime time on his big screen television. So I just want to give out a shout to him.
Nice.
Thank you, Satish, for all the encouragement. But more importantly, I was looking towards Belamakonda and Legends to bail me out. But thanks to Kings 11, I don't need to be bailed out. And now I can just, as a fan, enjoy Legends versus KRCC, which I think will be another cracker of a game. Hopefully, it'll be a showcase game of the week. Parthiv, coming back to the Canton 11 versus Punjab Warriors, I think the Punjab Warriors acquitted themselves very well. It was an excellent run chase. The Punjab Warriors had most of their good players for this game. But if you ask me what separated Canton 11 from Punjab Warriors is that added experience, and you touched upon it. It is the added experience of Canton 11 that pulled this game in Canton 11's favor. Mohammad Mukudas, as we already said, had another great game. The last game, yes, it was 4 balls, 12 runs or whatever it is. But this game, he really put on a power show with his bat. And again, as I said, a few years ago, he was one of the top batsmen in the league. Until he fell off the chart in the last few years. But this year, we seem to be seeing the old Mohammad Mukudas of old, and he seems to be showcasing his game. Parthiv, if you ask me of all the new teams, I think this year we have 6 new teams, 26 remaining teams adding up to 32. If you gave me the 6 new teams and asked me, would you take one of the 6 teams? I probably will take the Punjab Warriors team, because of all the 6 new teams, I think that team has the greatest potential in terms of talent level. What they are missing is that experience factor. And my feeling is the moment they get that experience factor and fix that, many of these losses, they can convert it into big victories where they are winning with bonus rather than losing these narrow games where it's the lack of experience which is costing them the game. I think Gurdeep Singh, as he gets more experience managing the team and learning how to push what button to get motivate his players and gets that availability and all those things worked out, that team is going to be a cracker of a team in the coming years. So I am high on Punjab Warriors. If I had a choice between the 6 new teams, I probably will take the Punjab Warriors team as the team on which I can build it and take it on. In fact, I know that if I was leading Punjab Warriors, I would make serious push to make it into the playoffs this year itself. So I think it is that lack of experience which is costing them, but very good team if you ask me.
Yep. Yeah, I think I agree. They, along with Hitman, are probably the top 2 teams which are really, from the newer lot catching attention. All right. So the last game of this last weekend was the Raptors Dark Horses game. Again, very, very surprising to see Dark Horses succumb so easily. Raptors batting has been on fire, really. I mean, I think if you look at the results, I think they've been scoring heavily. They've been leaking runs, but their batting has really touched a new level. And I think they are pretty much on par with the Pokris and GLCC and Glads in terms of batting. Great to see Vikas back in the fold. I know he's been off and on with the Raptors. He's even when I was playing with Raptors, his availability was kind of kind of a hit and miss. But I think he definitely would be in their playoff plans. But they have got enough ammunition. I think the top 4 are Armendra, our Bahubali of DCL. He's in the form of his life, if you ask me. Every match I've commented, we've talked about Raptors. He's been the guy who's amongst the runs. In this case, even though he wasn't the highest, he was amongst the runs. Harsha, scored the bulk of the runs, 50, another 50 from the Raptors team. And once they scored 175, I think the Dark Horses pretty much not only just us, they would have counted themselves out of the game. They didn't get to the point where they were even closely remote to the game. So, and from the bowling side, it's good to see that the Raptors were able to get the Dark Horses out quickly. But another glaring figure which I see here is the 20 extras. For a team who wants to become champions, this is something which they'll have to dramatically improve upon. If that's time and time again, even when we were playing with Raptors, that's one thing which which has caused that inconsistency and prevented Raptors from taking that step towards the trophy. So that's something I think Pradeep Kota would be looking closely. He has the ammunition and he has everything that it takes to be champions. But these are the finer details when you're playing against Glads, when you're playing against GLCC. Those are the things which count the most. So I definitely see Raptors. I mean, Satish, I was surprised that Satish didn't pick Raptors as his top 8 teams. But for me, I definitely think Raptors are top 4. And I see them in the semis. I'll be really, really disappointed if they don't.
Partho, again, I think when it comes to this extras which you're talking about from Raptors, if you really look at it, they used 9 bowlers. So I think that is an aberration. I think this was a lopsided contest. So when it's a lopsided contest, the skipper probably gives the ball to anybody and everybody who wants to swing his arm. So I think that's what happened. So you are looking at so many guys, 9 bowlers bowled. So then obviously the wides are going to build up. I think we're being a little too hard on the Raptors on this one. I do not think we can take that 20 wides into account on this one, because I think this was so out of hand that anybody who wanted to bowl is welcome to bowl. And so it was a one-sided game. So really, there's nothing much to talk. I think the Raptors batting is batting lights out. But we'll see in the coming days. I mean, you say that they'll make the semifinals. I'm not fully convinced about that. I'd like to see some more things which I can believe in. I haven't seen that yet. Yes, they are undefeated, but at the same time, there are enough chinks in the armor which they are exposing. So we'll see. But they are a good team. There's no doubt about that. So they have a solid team. But they have always been a good team. I mean, they always seem to attract good players. But having said that, I think we can go on to the what is this? Predictions. Probably
yeah,
have
I
to
think
pick up.
in the interest of time, I think what we'll do is, we'll probably show these predictions and go through it so that we can basically use as Excel sheet instead of the presentation which we have. So the first game we have is SSK Thunders. I think Avi is picked. I think we all have picked Thunders. I think that's even though we have picked Thunders, again, I think at least from my side, it'll depend on who Sandeep brings to this team. I think we basically picked Thunders because of their reputation and the lineup they have. But knowing the last 2 or 3 games, it does make me worry a little bit as to whether Thunders is going to have their A team. If they do, then they beat SSK. But SSK, if they don't, then I think SSK has a chance. But I cannot take that chance right now for the prediction.
Yeah, Parthiv, I agree with you. I think Thunder's on reputation, but that reputation has taken a hit with a loss to Patriots as well as a loss to Troy Hawks. I think SSK's bowling is decent. Again, if Thunders are not at full strength, I can see this becoming a very close game. And if SSK pulls off an upset, don't tell me that I'm going to be too surprised there. You get my point? I mean, it's
right.
Because the batting on the Thunders and the too much experimentation are all question marks for me.
Yeah. The next game we have is Dynamite's Patriots, and that's interesting because we have a split in between the 4 analysts. Avi and you have Patriots, whereas me and Satya are going with Dynamites. And I can speak for myself. The reason why I go with Dynamites is because they have the momentum. Playing back-to-back games and still winning in the same week, that has definitely added to it. And I do feel, even though Patriots have a decent team, but I think the Dynamites are definitely on the rise this year. And I do feel like they should be able to get past Patriots.
I think the reason I picked Patriots was the exact opposite. I think the tail of the Patriots is in the fire. And so there is no scope for errors now. And when your tail is in the furnace, you are going to get moving. And so I believe that Nitin is going to get moving. I am seeing some signs where Sai Kiran Tota seems to be batting better. Naresh Sundar already had a good game. I think they are going to come with their best unit. Now that they beat Thunders, they probably must be feeling that they can beat anybody and everybody. So that confidence can do a lot of wonders. Dynamites, on the other hand, they're having a fabulous game. They don't have that much to lose, even if they lose to Patriots. So Patriots, because of the heat involved, I think that's the only reason. So they'll be even more hungry, and that's why I'm going with the Patriots.
All right. So that's going to be one good game to look for, especially with the split choices we have. The next game is FCC Raptors. This would have been close if it was if it was the start of the season. I would have basically been it would be difficult. But I think now that we know we're through mid-season almost, FCC is still struggling, where Raptors is going from strength to strength. FCC bowling, it is going to be FCC bowling versus Raptors batting. And I do feel Raptors have the edge, especially like because runs on board matters. And as soon as Raptors put something on board, the FCC batting is brittle. It is it is we've seen time and time again it crumbles, and that's why I pick Raptors.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It is the FCC batting which concerns me, and I think if Raptors put enough runs on the board, somehow I don't see FCC chasing that down. So and Raptors have been batting lights out. So and again, I think the Raptors bowling is okay. I mean, yes, they have played down to their competition, but at the same time they are unbeaten. So it's tough to pick against Raptors. And their FCC batting has shown me squat. So I need to see something. And I have seen squat from them.
Next game we have is Dark Horses and Troy Hawks. Again, I think 4-0 for Troy Hawks. As we've talked about, I think it's time and time again, Troy Hawks is the team of 2021. The amount of improvement that we've seen. So, and Dark Horses is the reverse. I mean, they're falling behind from what they were at one point of time. So this game should be easy for Troy Hawks.
Yeah, I agree with you, Partha. Troy Hawks are the most improved team of 2021. So tough to pick against them. They have this game in the bag.
Next game we have Legends and FCC Agni. 4-0 to Legends. The kind of form they have been showing, the kind of bowling and batting, and the ability to kind of sustain the pressure. They've handled that pressure really well against Brownstown, against PRCC. They've been able to kind of withstand that, and Kings 11 too. They've basically been able to withstand that unbeaten so far. So, form takes precedence. FCC Agni, very good team, but I don't think they have the chops to beat Legends.
Yeah, same thing. Partha. Legends are in an outrageous form and led by a good leader. They are very playing good, solid cricket. There's hardly anything I can nitpick on Legends. So when you have a team like that, it's very, very difficult to pick against them. Beating them is going to take a special team to beat Legends. And right now, FCC Agni is not that special a team at this point in my books. They need to, here's an opportunity for them to prove us wrong. But I doubt we'll be proved wrong.
The Brownstown Hitmen. So it's interesting is Satya has gone for Hitman. I guess he probably knows something that we don't know. But again, the reason I went with Brownstown, we've seen enough to kind of see the Brownstown engine has started. They've got the players. They've got an infusion of young players. They've kind of rested some of their old veterans. Probably give them a go when the time crunch comes. I think experience does matter. So we'll see some of them come back. But for me, Brownstown Hitman, even though Hitman has been impressive, I think Brownstown should be on the ascendancy from here onwards through August.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rashid, again, remember the reason I picked Patriots was the Patriots' tail was in the firehouse, and then it was in the furnace. It's the same thing with Rashid. Rashid's tail is also in the furnace. The Brownstown tail is in the furnace. They're getting burnt, and now they have made all the necessary moves. The last two games are an indicator. I think the only reason Satya is picking Hitman to win is that he's betting that Rashid can't do this 3 games in a row, that he can attract all this new talent. But if I know Rashid will go to the moon and get a player if he has to get a player from the moon. So I'm picking Brownstown on this one.
All right. Next game is Detroit Bulls and Kings 11. 4-0 to Kings 11. I think with the kind of victory they had against TRCC, and considering Detroit Bulls not being able to deliver so far, I think it's an obvious choice that Kings 11 is the go-to team.
Yeah, Bulls needs to have a team meeting, as I said. Tanuj needs to call a team meeting of the senior players of Gino James, Banu Prakash Murthy, and every other person out there, including Nikhil Sunny and every one of them, and need to have a very heart-to-heart conversation. I'm betting that that conversation does not happen, so I'm picking Kings 11.
All right. Next game for me was an easy one. I know I've picked against strikers, and I've had a earful. in my practice sessions. But I do feel this is going to be like something which I'm looking forward to test. How some of the new players are to play against a big team. I know there are few people who have played the big teams, but there are several this year who haven't tasted playing in pressure games. So this is going to be our first big pressure game. So let's see how we go through. But I'm very very excited to see some of my new players compete against the best, especially facing Deepak and Imti and all those guys.
Yeah, again, I'm picking the Blasters bowling. I'm not fully convinced on the Blasters batting, but I'm fully convinced about the Blasters bowling. So I think if it's a contest between the two bowling attacks, I think the Blasters bowling attack is better than the striker bowling attack. Batting, you could probably give it a wash, but definitely on the bowling end, I think Blasters are better. So I'm going with Blasters.
Cool. Yeah, it's 3-1 Blasters. So either I'm going to lose a point or I'm going to gain a point on you guys.
Yeah.
All right. So Pokri's GLCC. Obviously, Avi, would go, has picked Pokris, and very rightfully, because he has he has a role to play in that game. For us, I think all three of us GLCC. It's not as easy as picking, but I think for me, GLCC has always been like it goes strength to strength to strength as the season progresses, and especially these critical games. Somehow they are able to pull this off. So I'm betting on the experience of GLCC and getting through to Pokris.
Yeah, I think GLCC is playing the best brand of cricket in DCL this year. So it's tough to pick against GLCC. I think it's going to be a top-notch game, but I think GLCC has a few more pieces on the batting end. And I think that experience is going to show. The other concern I have is, will Pokris make all the right decisions? So that's where I think when things start going wrong, will Ravi Narala make the right decision? I don't have that concern with regards to Samish. With Pokris, sometimes I feel that their decision-making process stalls and they are not sure what to do. So we'll see. Hopefully, now that we have highlighted those things, I know Ravi very well. He's a very, very one of the greatest competitors in DCL. He'll work on his weakness and come back at it. He's not going to be the ostrich and hide his head under the sand. He's going to look on what he has to improve and improve upon it. So it'll be a good game. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be a game which I'm looking, hopefully Ravi Narala will broadcast it live. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. If he broadcasts it, I'm watching it.
Cool. All right. The next one we have is Canton 11 and MCC Miles. Wow. Satya has picked MCC Miles again. So Satya has been this week trying to gain on us on points. So he's got
that's the only option left for him. He's at the bottom of the pile. You see, if he wants to catch up, he has to go against the grain.
Right. So I mean, my pick again, Canton 11 batting has been on the ascendancy. MCC Miles, even though they've got a recent win, but that was against Rising Stars. I do not think too high of that win. So I think MCC Miles is still not there yet. Canton 11, on the other hand, is definitely team which is causing a few heartburns in the pool C lineup, especially between Sterling strikers and the last 4 or 5 spots. So I think this might be a good way for Canton to consolidate that position they have.
Yeah, Canton 11 for me, I think Canton 11 is playing a good brand of cricket. So I'm going with Canton 11. It's a safe pick. Let's put it that way.
Right. Okay, the next one is also 4-0 for Glads. My Rangers, decent team, but yeah, I don't see them going past Glads.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to pick against Glads, though I do want to change, I think, my pick on Glads versus GLCC. So, yeah, I'm picking.
Is that happening this weekend? No, right?
It's happening. Yeah, I know it's happening on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
It's happening on Sunday, but I know that GLCC requested for an early start, so they will have their best team. We are, on the other hand, we have a real problem with Sunday. So we tried rescheduling that to a different date. We couldn't. So what I have told Satya is, hey, go with the unit you have. Give it your best. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least you know what to expect later on. So I'm not too worried about the outcome of that game, but I think GLCC has the edge on that one. I mean, let's put it this way. My heart is with Glads and my brain says GLCC is going to win that game.
Right. Cool. All right. The next one, I think this is the first time Rising Stars is probably going to get a 4-0 against any team. But yes, against AR Phantoms, I guess, they are definitely heavy favorites. AR Phantoms haven't, challenged anyone, and I don't see them challenging Rising Stars here.
Well, the Rising Stars have been sinking stars for most of the season, but this is the game where probably the stars are going to start rising again. But if AR Phantoms wants to avoid the Emperor of the Basement tag, which even if they win this, I do not know if they avoid that, but nevertheless, at least they have a chance to avoid that by winning this game. But this is probably, after Micah DHM, this is probably their next best chance to win. So good luck to AR Phantoms and to Rising Stars.
Cool. All right. So before we end the show, I just wanted to quickly highlight some of our top shooters this week. There've been quite a slew of performances, several 50s, and this season continues to kind of, bring in those tall scores from batsmen. That's great to see because DCL is always considered by many a bowler's game, but we see a lot of top scorers. Saranraj Subramaniam for Pokris, 77 of 56 balls with 1 6 and 7 fours. Sean for the Blasters team, 62 of 47 with 1 4, 1 6 and 4 fours. I'm not sure if it's the reverse, if it's 7 6, 4 sixes and 1 4, but either way, like 5 boundary hits. Rahul Bandari, we talked about him in the Dark Horses team, 56 of 42 balls with 7 boundary hits.
Yeah, I think the first figure is the 4 and the second figure is the 6.
Oh, okay. And then we have FCC Agni, Hitain, Motikhana, 5 overs, no maidens, 15 runs and 6 wickets. Wow, that is amazing when you can get 5 or more wickets in the 5 overs. So congrats to everyone, the top shooters. And from the prediction side of things, I still have a lead over Avinash and Viju. Yeah, although I think I lost a couple of points this week.
you had a 10 game advantage and you lost that. We've reduced it down to 8 to make it a little more interesting. That's about it.
Yes, so I think that definitely, I mean, this week is going to be another one, which is going to be interesting to see if Satya catches up. He's got a lot of one-offs from his side, so we'll see. Okay, I think that was it for this week. I think we already did the predictions. So yes, it was a great show.
Parthiv, once again, it's just the two of us, and we still managed 3 hours. But in all fairness, we had, instead of 12 games, we had 18 games or 19 games. Correct. Because we even covered this week's Vijay Shanmugam's game, so 19 games. So
we should be proud of that.
Yeah, we should be proud that we limited it in 3 hours, despite having to cover 19 games. But fortunately, people seem to be liking the show and they seem to enjoy watching us on the big screen television. So that's a that's a shot in the arm.
That's nice. Yes, I think we're definitely. I hear a lot of you said this about me on the show, or you guys missed this about this on the show. That's great to know, and good feedback to have. Things like people come up and tell me on the ground, like, "Hey, you missed out that." It's great to see that people are actually hearing and listening to us. So,
Parthiv, I'm so glad I'm not at the ground, because I would have heard a lot of comments that, "Hey, Viju, you didn't say this, you didn't say that." So in some ways, I'm happy I'm not at the ground.
No, it's all fun. I don't think anybody's ever yet told me that they've got offended or anything like that. even
No,
close to that. So everybody's enjoying.
yep. Now, and we
Yep.
enjoy
All
we
right.
enjoy it too. So, congrats to everybody, all the teams. Good luck, Parthiv. Nice seeing you. Wonderful
All
job
right.
hosting in the absence of Avi. Avi, hope to see you back next week. And Mr. Satya, please don't give us this job of running all the technical things, because first of all, I don't know what I'm doing, and that leaves too much pressure on Parthiv. And people fail under pressure. So, so show up
No, I
soon.
think
All right.
yeah. Talk to you soon. Good night. Take care.
Good night. Bye.